Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great Monday. It's the first day of the week. We know how it goes, but I hope that it's going smoothly, or I hope that you're just getting off work and you're about to relax. I'm coming back with 3 more cases for you guys. Please hit the like button while you're coming in. I truly appreciate it. It helps the channel. And I want to just say shout out to Young Reyes for being first. Thank you for stopping by, sir. I appreciate you. And shout out to Miss Jalen. Thank you for coming so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Oh, hi, Michael. How are you doing, sir? Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day as well, sir. Thank you so much. And the first case I'm going to start off with now here's the thing. These are older cases. They're not current cases. These are older cases, but these are cases that I have never really actually dabbled into. So I want to share that with you. I will be doing a FOIA request for more current cases so I can give y'all some more current news and current events that's going on, so y'all get like first dibs. So that is in the pipeline going forward, okay? But let's see. Oh, I'm sorry that happened, name. Dang, I apologize. Oh, okay. I hope you handle that. Okay, so the first case I want to go over is a case in reference of a unaliving. A man was charged of an unaliving of a child. And this case struck a lot of nerves, and I wanted to review it to see what happened. And we're going to also look at the process of his interrogation when it came down to the unaliving of this young boy. All right, so here we go.
Have the ability to ruin a person's life, or even the reputation of a community. We are programmed to believe that the truth will always prevail if these accusations are serious enough to enter the court system. However, time and time again, we are reminded of the critical flaws that can be found within the system that is designed to protect us. On October 24th, 2011, Garrett Phillips headed home after another typical day in the 6th grade. He lived with a single mom, Tandy Cyrus, and his brother Aaron. They lived in a quaint apartment complex at 100 Market Street, known as North County Manor. This was located in a small town in upstate New York called Potsdam Village. At 4:52 p.m., surveillance footage monitoring the school parking lot captured Garrett riding away on his ripstick. At about 5 p.m., Garrett's neighbors Sean Hall and Marissa Vogel, who lived in the same building, were watching Dexter when they heard a loud bang from across the hall. Through the walls, they could hear muffled cries of a child saying no and help. It sounded urgent, so Marissa rushed over and knocked on the door. She was met with silence, followed by a click of the door locking. This disturbed Marissa, so she called 911.
Potsdam Police, Dispatcher Schneider.
Hi, my name is Marissa Vogel, and I have something. I'm not sure if I should call or not. I thought I heard some screaming, like no and help, a couple of times. So I knocked on their door, and I heard the lock click. And I know this sounds really paranoid and stuff, but I figured I'd call just in case.
Where do you live?
Sorry, 100 Market Street, North Country Manor Apartments. It sounded like something fell, and then it was either no or help. So it was a little weird.
Okay, I'll have somebody check on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Unsure if anybody was in imminent danger, police responded swiftly, and an officer arrived on the scene within minutes. They knocked on the door to Garrett's apartment. There was no response, but they believed they heard somebody walking around. Unable to access the apartment, they contacted the building supervisor, Rick Dumas.
Hello?
Hi, is this Rick Dumas?
Yes, it is.
So I got a patrol up thinking that they might open the door for a patrol, but he's not getting an answer.
Well, I'm in Potsdam. I got to drop my niece and nephew off at basketball and my wife, and I can run over there. I've got a key.
Okay.
Within 15 minutes, Rick arrived to open the door. It was clear Garrett had safely arrived home from school, as his ripstick was rested against the wall and his backpack laid on the floor. Garrett was then found collapsed in his mother's room. He was in full cardiac arrest.
Can you give it any more information?
I'm going to start CPR.
Unresponsive, male, probably 10 years old. No pulse, not breathing. That's about really all we got. The mother is Tandy Cyrus. We don't know the child's name at this time. She's not here. We haven't been able to locate.
Okay. Isn't she John Jones' ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Wonder if he's got a number.
I don't know. You might want to maybe call him and find out.
An ambulance arrived, and Garrett was transported to the nearest emergency room.
Hi, this is Nancy Rutledge. I'm the supervisor at the hospital. Obviously, we're here with this young child that was just brought in.
Yep.
The rescue squad gave us an insurance card of a woman named Tandy Cyrus.
I'm working on it.
They think that's the mother.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with her right now.
Tandy rushed to the hospital when they finally got in contact with her. She watched as medics struggled to resuscitate her son. Tragically, these efforts were unsuccessful, and Garrett succumbed to his injuries. At 7:18 p.m., he was pronounced dead. An autopsy was scheduled for the following day. Back at the crime scene, it was clear that Garrett had not been alone. The rear window at the back of the apartment was half open, with the screen forced out and the metal blinds broken. It was possible that somebody had escaped that way, but police were skeptical at first, as Garrett lived on the second floor of the building. And so the drop from the windowsill to the ground was about 20 feet. However, in the grass below the window, a foot-shaped gouge supported this theory. Police estimated that the perpetrator was athletic and was possibly injured during the risky jump out of the second-floor window. A dangerous killer was likely on the loose. Time was of the essence, and it was crucial to track down potential suspects as soon as possible. Police began questioning Garrett's family, friends, and the surrounding community, and were able to narrow it down in an astonishingly short time frame. One of the main discoveries that made this possible was the school parking lot surveillance footage. As we showed before, Garrett is seen riding his ripstick away from the school. Shortly after this, a vehicle follows, and investigators believed that they knew exactly who was driving this car. On October 25th, 2011, the day following Garrett's death, a phone call took place between Lieutenant Mark Murray of the Potsdam Police Department and the district attorney's lead investigator, Daniel Manor, to discuss the status of potential suspects in the case.
Potsdam Police Dispatcher, over. Hi, how are you?
Is that your daughter?
This is Dan Manor.
If that's your daughter, hi,
Mark Murray, you're the chief in right now. Mike's in. Hold on one second. Thanks. Dan, what's up? Mark.
So, Ep.13 Berlin said, I believe he was black, judging by the evidence. I will tell you, in this case, the suspect is black. This happened in upstate New York. This poor boy. I know the area. I know the location because I live in upstate New York. But I never heard of this this case before. So let's go on a little bit more. But thank you for commenting.
Just calling to say if you need anything from our office, don't hesitate calling. Okay. Yeah, I talked to Nicole twice last night. Okay. Just updated her as to what we had. What are you doing today? Oh, I'm just getting ready to take my granddaughter up to Colton School, and I just heard. I didn't know about it. I heard about it on the radio. And I'm sorry, man. I would have called you. It was kind of a that's fine. Circus, though. You have all the suspects that were involved, or is there just one? There's one person in particular that we want to talk to. So. And Olivia got a call from one of her cousins that said that this 12-year-old boy had been killed by his mother's boyfriend. Now, where that came from, I have no idea. Yep, that's the rumor.
The man that they are referring to is Tandy's ex-boyfriend, a man named Oral Hillary, who goes by the name Nick. They had already reached out to him the night before.
Hello? Oh, is Mr. Hillary?
Let's see. So, Paulette, how you doing, Paulette? She said, was it an essay killing or just a deranged man? I think it was a deranged man. I think that he was taking a vengeance out on the ex-girlfriend by unaliving the son, because obviously there wasn't a robbery. They didn't find anything stolen or disheveled except the window where he jumped out of. That was the only thing that was shaveled. And when you looked at the placement of the boy's skateboard, that means when he got in the house, he was comfortable with whoever came in the house with him. It wasn't a forced entry. It was like whatever happened in there, that's what happened. And it happened in his room. This is terrible so far from what I'm hearing, but let's go on.
Over there, please.
Mr. Hillary speaking.
It's Mark Murray, the Potsdam Police Department. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, and you?
Not too bad. We had an incident occur this evening, and we'd like to speak with you in regards to it. There was an incident with Tandy's 10-year-old son, and I didn't know if you'd be able to come to our station and speak to us really quick about it.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, you just called just now, but I have my kids here with me. Is it possible that you can come on down to my house and speak to me?
Where do you live?
Middle East.
Okay, what number Meadow East?
Apartment E6.
E6?
Yeah.
Sure.
They proceeded to meet with Nick, but they essentially broke the news to him and left. Notes from the meeting outlined his reaction. He said things like, "I feel so empty inside," and seemed visibly shaken up. There was nothing out of the ordinary, but they still did not know much about this man. Nick was an immigrant from Jamaica who moved to the U.S. at 16 years old. He went on to serve 3 years in the military before attending St. Lawrence College, where he led his soccer team to a national championship. Although he was a talented athlete, he switched gears to do what mattered most to him, helping the younger generation. He worked as a math teacher for a short while before coming back to his roots as the head soccer coach for Clarkson University's varsity team. Tandy provided for her family by working 2 jobs. She was a bank manager during the day and would bartend in the evenings at a local pub, Half Tons Bar and Grill. Nick had met Tandy at that bartending job, and they instantly connected. Their fondness for each other only grew, and soon the 2 families moved in together. Nick became quite involved in Garrett and Aaron's lives, filling the role as their father figure. However, it wasn't always easy. The community of Potsdam had their own judgments about Tandy and Nick's relationship. These judgments impacted Garrett's life, which led to him disliking Nick and the fact that Nick was dating his mother. The couple wanted to take the pressure off of the kids, and to curb any future harassment from the community, they decided it may be best for the 2 families to live separately for the time being. However, as with most separations, the couple began reassessing their relationship, and just 1 month before Garrett's death, they decided that it was in their best interest to officially break up. The same morning as Mark Murray and Daniel Manner's phone call, Tandy was brought in for an interview with the police.
Here's Danny. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. This is a terrible tragedy. Obviously, we're doing everything we can right now to get down to the bottom of this. We're looking at every angle we possibly can. We have the state police up there. We're up there last night. Up there again. They're trying their special crimes units up there. Gather what they can for evidence. Danny's inside. We get some subpoenas. We get cell phones. The last contact you had with the artwork on what time? Is that what he called you or you called him? Okay. He was at that school at the time? Obviously one person probably were interested in speaking to you. So, okay. We had a brief discussion with him yesterday just to try to get an idea where he said he was.
While Nick Hillary is the main focus of this video, it's important we point out the man holding Tandy's hand throughout this interrogation. This is John Jones, Tandy's ex-husband, and also the county sheriff's deputy. Apparently, Nick's name was brought up several times at the end of John and Tandy's marriage. There even ended up being an incident where he confronted Nick at his home to discuss the nature of their relationship. In January of 2011, just 10 months before Garrett's death, Tandy wrote a formal complaint to the sheriff's department that John worked at. She stated that John had threatened her and that she feared for her and her children's safety, outlining multiple incidents of harassment. Some have speculated that John's involvement in this case is based on bad intentions. Whether his kindness and dedication for Tandy is genuine or not, he turned out to be a key player in both her support circle and the investigation surrounding Garrett's death. Following Tandy's interview, investigators decided to focus entirely on Nick Hillary.
Hi, Ed. Hey, how's it going? How you doing? Oh, we're hanging in there. Yeah. Do what we can do. Appreciate all the help, though, state police are helping us with right now. I mean, without you guys, it would be...
We'll help you in any way we can, you know. We want to get this one right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's we got a 12-year-old that's lost his life. We got to lock somebody up.
And we have a strong suspect at this point. And we're just trying to get all the ammunition against him at this point. We can.
Garrett's autopsy was performed later that Tuesday, less than 24 hours after.
Let's see. So Paula says, so it seems that racism led to the separating. Why not just get married and flip the racists off? but it sounds like John killed the kid. John sounds deranged. So I would say like this. I think it was not only just like maybe just like racism. I just think it was like more like a community thing per se. Like, you know, if he wasn't really like you know, connecting with the community, and then they probably expected her to go back to her ex-husband. You just seen that her ex-husband is like the sheriff of that town. So, you know, he has connections, he knows everyone. So there's a lot of things going on there. Like nobody want to step on his toes, especially if they're good with him, and then y'all no longer together or y'all separated, and you know, things of that sort. But yes, I would say they should have just like, you know, went somewhere else, whatever. But obviously, to me, I think there was something more that was going on in their relationship that had to do outside of that. I think that it was a part of it, but it was something else that was going on, because a month afterwards, they decided to completely, you know, quit. Even if they didn't want to live with each other in the same house anymore, wait until they actually get officially married. That should have been the best thing to do anyway, right? Instead of trying to bind families together, not under marriage. But a month later, they ended up splitting anyway. But I do find it very concerning with John, the ex-husband, right? Because he's there, he's holding her hand, he's being so, you know, like a sympathetic ex-husband. And plus, that's his son too. That's his son that is gone now. But it's like now when they're just talking about the report, saying that she put in an official report saying that he threatened to harm her and everything like that, we have to add that into the conclusion as well. And let's see, PNW Lens, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. I mean, a lot of people's houses burnt down. So many people's houses burnt down, and my prayers go to everyone whose homes got destroyed in the fires in LA. This is hard times, and nobody needed that. It doesn't matter whether if you was rich, poor, or middle class. Nobody needed that at this time right now, because the economy is a lot. You're spending $12 buying eggs right now, so you know. But let's go on.
After his death, and police confirmed the involvement of foul play. The cause of death was asphyxia due to suffocation/strangulation. The reason he was in full cardiac arrest when the police arrived was due to the compression of his corroded body at the back of his neck. This can cause slowing of the pulse and lead to cardiac arrest. There was also suspicious rug burns on his legs, as well as marks on his face and neck, signaling that there was a struggle. Now, with the cause of death confirmed, police were confident about the timeline of the crime. 4:52 p.m., Garrett leaves the school parking lot. 4:53 p.m., Nick leaves the parking lot. 4:58 p.m., estimated time of Garrett's arrival home. 5:06 p.m., Garrett is murdered. 5:08 p.m., 911 call from Marissa. 5:14 p.m., the police arrive. 5:33 p.m., Rick Dumas gives access to the apartment. With the information that they had gathered up until this point, this timeline only furthered their suspicions of Nick's involvement. So, before confronting and accusing Nick of any crimes, they decided to observe him from a distance. There was a soccer game later that evening, SUNY Potsdam versus Clarkson University. They knew that he would be there coaching. The detectives claimed that Nick had a limp affecting his right leg, but a video from that soccer game shows Nick walking smoothly and even beating several young men to the locker room. No limp visible. Regardless, this led the police to filing an affidavit with the aim of obtaining a search warrant. The next day, on Wednesday, October 26th, just 2 days after Garrett's death, officers ordered Nick down to the station for questioning. They told him it was to go over Garrett's class list. Nick appears keen on helping the investigation in any way possible, but he should be hypervigilant since he is speaking to them without the presence of a lawyer.
Why don't you just advise him that his information is right there and all that? Okay. So you get in the right way and talk to him?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna, you gotta read them my rights.
We don't have to.
We don't have to. If you want to hear me, you can hear him. It's not really doesn't apply to you.
Anyways,
you're not under arrest.
Let's get to the case.
Yes, thank you.
How long had you gone out with Tandy?
I've been seeing Tandy since September last year.
I mean, she's a good-looking girl, obviously, and draws attention. You know what I mean? Is there other people that express a big interest in her, or that you're aware of anyways? I'm aware of some. I know several people have always went there, you know. that's the thing that I can't say, but can't really say. Did you break up with her? Did she break up with you? What's the deal with that?
We separated.
Separated?
Do you usually pick up your kids from school, your daughter? She goes to the high school or she walks home? She goes to the high school. And what's her name? Mark, I'm not trying to be a prick like you, but you actually come down into the feathers. Then you guys are actually trying to damn questions right now. Okay. I don't mind answering questions, but when I answer questions, I need to know pertaining to what. Okay. I'm just trying to get some information about your daughter. This is where
Hello,
I'm going.
Shima. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you.
Can you provide me? You're here to help me with something I'm clueless about. So I'm clueless about it as well.
You know that you can, you're free to leave here at this point, Nick. We just
I want to be as helpful as possible.
Okay, well, what we'd like to do is eliminate you as being a part of this whole thing.
Am I a suspect in this thing?
No, what we'd like to do, we know
the word eliminate is a big word.
Everybody's a suspect. This whole town's a suspect, okay? All these kids are. Okay, we need
really, we're hurtling forward here, and I don't like this is the most informal I can find it. We're here alone. No one knows that you're here except you, us, you and Gary. That's it. If we wanted to treat you as like what you're saying as a suspect, it'd be a lot different situation.
You know what you did on Monday? Monday was the first day of the week 2 days ago.
What's that then?
Okay. This isn't hard, Nick. These are simple questions, okay? Our timeline is.
So my only thing is that, like, I'm looking at his body language, and right now he doesn't really give defensive, right? However, I want to know, why was he at the school? His daughter goes to the high school. He has his own daughter. His daughter goes to the high school. That boy was in junior high school. He was only I think 12 years old. So why did they catch you near the parking lot of the junior high school? If you were sitting there waiting for your daughter at high school, that's fine. I will have to find out, where is the high school? Is the high school a block away, or do they share the school? Like, is it one big school, and on the lower half is junior high school, and then on the top layers or the top stories of the school is the actual high school? I would have to find out, why was he there? If the high school is in a whole different building, then why aren't you in that parking lot? Why are you in the junior high school's parking lot? Let's go on.
It's such that we talked to you before, and you mentioned you were practice. What time was practice on Monday? Do you remember? I have no comments. No comments on when practice was? No. See again, Mark. That just strikes me as, like, I don't understand, like, what do you think we're asking? Let us just be frank, please. Okay.
Well, okay. If you want to be frank, go ahead and be frank.
Okay. You asked me to come down here to do what? To look at a list of students. Raise the list of students. Okay. Not like 4 times. Okay. I appreciate that.
Let's not turn nasty over that thing.
I'm not. What's your name again?
Gary.
Yeah.
Gary, self safe, please. I've been safe police over 20 years.
Okay, great.
This isn't the first time I've talked to somebody, okay?
Understandable.
And talking to the family, this is a big case, and what's been going on here.
It should be a big case.
So, I know you've heard this before, but this is your Miranda warnings. You're not under arrest, okay? I'm listening to you, okay? And before you go to make any snap judgment, what you do, I want you to hear me out. So you came in here, I told Doris and I like you.
Understandable.
Okay, so there's a question that has confused me for 3 days, and I got to ask you. Okay? You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can be used against you in court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have the person with you being questioned.
All right, you just read me my Miranda rights, and I'm going to implement my 6 of them.
You know what I'm saying? Are you on the phone with somebody?
I know.
You didn't hear me out for my question. It's pretty simple.
Understandable, yeah. You read me my Miranda rights. Well, I know once you read me my Miranda rights, whatever I say, like you said, can be used against me.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go correct that and implement my 6th Amendment.
Okay, so which meaning what?
You know the 6th Amendment.
The Sixth Amendment states that criminal defendants have the right to a timely and public trial, the right to know who your accusers are and the nature of the charges and evidence against you, and the right to a lawyer. In other words, Nick is basically saying, I'm done talking and I demand a lawyer.
Yeah, I told him I might be down here for a shot on the time. It's only been an hour, right? An hour, not even? I mean, you got to watch on. What time is it? 9:35.
Aren't you curious as to what Garrett said or anything he's dying on? Wouldn't that make you curious? I mean, I know it makes you curious. It made me curious.
Why don't you tell me what he said? What do you want to know? Tell me what he said.
Well, let's put this right there, okay?
Wasn't good.
If you and I, Mark, are going to have a detailed conversation about what happened there, I'll tell you everything you want to know, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now that you've got some problems, okay? I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
You've got some problems. It's daylight out. It's 5 o'clock. You're on Market Street, Potsdam. It's a small town. This parade's gone on long enough, okay?
I'm hearing the game.
Okay, well,
I don't think that you went there with any intention to harm him. I don't think you did. Things got airy and stuff happens. That's a big difference.
I know what.
That's a big difference between someone, you're from the city, you know better than me. There's people out there that are bad people. You're not a bad person. You are a quality person. You went to St. Lawrence. You're a soccer coach.
Mark.
And this is just, that's where I'm coming from. I have respect for you. Maybe that's a bad thing. But if you want to hear me out,
I have respect for you as well.
I'm professional. You're professional. This isn't anything that was you're doing that you purposely went and did. I know that. And I just, this family's, you're upset by it, the family's distraught about it, and here I am in the middle just trying to say, what can I do to make this thing have the best closure, get it done over with before it's a mess? Because it's going to be a huge mess.
It's going to be horrible. Okay. Accidents happen. Okay. I know what happened there. Okay?
Okay, if you do know what happened, then you're telling me, what are you telling me?
Here's a kid that sits in the way of your relationship.
Right. And listen to what you're saying to me, Gary.
I know Tandy.
Listen to what you just said to me. You say you knew, you have full idea of what has gone on there. Where is there?
At the apartment.
Okay. So why am I here then if you know?
Well, because everybody gets an opportunity, okay? This is your opportunity, Nick. This is your opportunity.
I want to take this opportunity to go to work, and I would like for you guys to grant me the opportunity to speak to y'all later on when I have more time.
What is good?
Will you show me outside this?
Sit down.
You're that 12-year-old kid. You're telling me when your practice was.
Wait a minute.
You're going to tell me that you don't know when your practice was. You got a dead kid.
All right, you're going to be held on here for a minute anyway. So
Gary, please.
Well, I'm telling you right now. Listen to me, okay?
See, you guys came and asked me to come down here with you now.
And
yes or no, Mark? Yes or no?
Yes, we did. But I want to explain something to you, okay?
Okay.
We can do things the easy way or the hard way around here. There's two ways to do everything, okay? You can call your attorney and do whatever you want to do. But in the meantime, we're going to apply for a search warrant to get permission to photograph your body, okay? Just like I told you, Nick, this doesn't have to be the end of the world.
I understand that, but look, you guys brought me down here, and I'm saying to you guys, I'm still willing to cooperate and be helpful.
Okay, well listen to me then.
If
you want to be helpful, put your phone down, shut it off, and be helpful with me, okay? I want to tell you something about Garrett, my impression of Garrett.
You said you spoke to Garrett before he passed. That's what you told me.
Yes. No.
Okay? No, that's what you told me. He just confirmed it. That's what you just told me.
Listen to me. I said Garrett said something. There's rescue people there.
Okay.
You watch CSI at all? DNA? You know anything about that?
No.
Now you're lying to me. Now you're lying to me, Nick. Okay.
Okay, so he's getting flustered. He's getting agitated. We know that in this situation, people do get agitated, but then we also know that people do put on good facades, right? And they act like they're so insulted that you're even putting them as a suspect. But him knowing the Sixth Amendment right and Sixth Amendments and all the stuff, he knows what he needs to do after the Miranda rights are said to him. He's feeling his right, he should have got up and left. He should have just stopped, ended the discussion. But now they're going to detain him because of the way he's acting. He's acting very agitated. He's being a little bit, nasty with the words, because, and it's only making him look even more guilty. It's not helping his case, right? What he should have said is, hey, listen, if I'm not being detained, I'm going to go seek a lawyer and just end it right then and there. When you go and you do all this extra stuff, you said that you came down there willingly to have a conversation and to answer some questions. Answer the questions. If the ones that you don't want to answer, just say, I don't want to answer those particular type of questions. And then end the discussion, end the conversation, right? But, when you do it, when you go this path, this way, this is when they start to believe, and this is just human nature. They're going to start to believe that you're withholding information. You're getting agitated because you don't want to answer something, and now you're feeling like you're being closed in. And if you look at them, they kind of closing in on him, like in a way, kind of putting the pressure on. And so those are things you have to take into consideration. I would have just, remained silent from the beginning and gotten a lawyer, especially if you know that you're going to be a motive, because they saw you at the parking lot when the boy was leaving from school, when he was riding his skateboard, they saw you. So unless you really want to answer the question as why was you there, then you're going to have a hard time going forward. Hey, Flora, how you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, Alexander, Fifth Amendment right is different than the Sixth Amendment. They just showed you what the Sixth Amendment right was. But let's go on.
You lie to me. You know what DNA is.
I do know what DNA is.
Okay, you told me no, but you don't know what DNA is.
You asked me if I watch CSI.
You ever watch CSI?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, you lied to me. Listen to me, Nick. This isn't the kind of thing This isn't the kind of thing that you could just slide out on and not face what happened.
When I?
Nick, we're going to need your phone. You're going to give it to me now.
Why I have to give my phone?
Because we're going to end up taking it. So you're done with the phone calls. You talk to your lawyer. It's going to need your phone.
I can't just give you my phone. Please?
No. You got to give it to me.
She didn't be calling me back.
Well, she can call here to keep you. Give me your phone. I don't want to take it from you. This is good. Okay? Okay. Just sit down. We're just going to be here a while. It's going to take a while. We're going to get hold of the judge. So I'll sit in here with you.
The investigator then stays in the room with Nick, and while doing so, Nick's attorney friend Munai tries to call him back.
Hey, could I answer that, please? No. Allow me the opportunity, please. Allow me the opportunity, please. Please. No. Please.
Nick, we don't want it.
Nick was not allowed to answer the call. Over the next 2 hours, Nick is left in the interview room without his phone or any outside contact. He spends most of this time staring out the window and likely reflecting on the situation that he finds himself in. A search warrant for Nick's current outfit and any other items on him was eventually obtained. It started off casually, taking pictures of him from all angles, but things escalated quickly, and within moments, Nick found himself completely naked as several officers stood around him.
Let the search warrant start down at 1601. Today's date, October 26, 2011.
Hi, Joanne. Good to see you. Thank you for coming by. So, can they take his phone without a warrant? Technically, no. But if they have him detained, and remember, they read him his Miranda rights, so they could decide whenever at that time they want to detain him. They also kept him in the office, and when they kept him in the office, they was able to get an emergency search warrant on him. So that's why they was able to take his phone, and he has to go through the photos, taking the photos of his body now, because they got the warrant. And that's why sometimes they do that. Sometimes the detectives and police do that. You wonder why you can be in an interrogation room for like 3 hours, up to 8 hours sometimes, because they probably getting more information. They're trying to secure warrants so they can go search your house, search your property, search you, that they need that time, right? So they're allotted to use that to do whatever they need to do to solve the case. That's just how the law, gives them, allows them to do. But technically, no, they're really not supposed to just take your phone. But let's go on.
As you can imagine, Nick questioned whether or not this treatment was ordinary or if his civil rights had been violated. Unfortunately, there was nothing that Nick could do during these moments other than cooperate. Something interesting to note is that the investigators went into this search determined to find an injury on Nick's lower legs as a result of jumping out of Garrett's window. Upon removing his shoes and socks, the detectives noticed a small wound on his right ankle. Nick claimed the injury occurred while moving furniture in his house, but he refused to elaborate any further. When Detective Murray was questioned about making Nick strip naked, he said that it was a normal procedure and that other people were also photographed naked in this investigation. When asked who, he responded, Garrett Phillips was. After 8 hours of being questionably detained, Nick was given an outfit resembling a hazmat suit and was allowed to leave. Following this interrogation, news quickly spread throughout the community of Nick being a prime suspect. Clarkson University no longer allowed him on their campus. Despite how intense law enforcement's suspicions of Nick seemed to be, the district attorney, Nicole Duvet, would refuse to attempt to getting an indictment against him. The case seemed up in the air for the time being. It was uncertain whether the evidence provided enough clarity as to who killed Garrett.
Everybody associated with this case continues to work very diligently, following up every possible lead. Unfortunately, sometimes these kinds of cases take time. This is one of those kinds of cases.
The case stagnated for about 2 years, but the community did not. Justice for Garrett signs and posters were in hot demand and were posted all over town. A $40,000 reward was offered to anybody who could provide information that aided in the arrest of Garrett's killer.
Well, it's been nearly 2 years since 12-year-old Garrett Phillips was killed in Potsdam. Well, no arrests have been made yet. The family holds on to hope that one day the person responsible will be brought to justice.
One time I think he loved everybody, he'd do anything for anybody.
All I would really ask the people is to still keep putting little clips in the paper, keeping the pressure on so that it's just not, left on somebody's desk.
Nick Hillary was publicly named as the main person of interest and remained that way over the passing 2 years. As you can imagine, this led to him and his family being ostracized, regardless of the fact that he had yet to face any charges. Feeling bullied by the system, he filed a civil lawsuit against the Potsdam Village Police Department, alleging false arrest, false imprisonment, unreasonable search and seizure, defamation, and emotional distress.
A Clarkson coach has filed a notice of claim against the Village of Potsdam, and his attorney says a civil lawsuit will follow in the near future. He says the notice of claim is being made for injuries and damages sustained during the investigation, including claims for false arrest, illegal detention, illegal search and seizure, emotional distress, and defamation. Hillary's attorney says that his client has handled the situation the best he can.
Well, Mr. Hillary has conducted himself with extreme dignity throughout this entire process, and Mr. Hillary has faith in justice and also the truth.
In 2013, Mary Rain took over the position of district attorney after promising to push forward with the Garrett Phillips case. Meanwhile, legal proceedings for the civil case began.
The date is January 20th, 2014.
Right, if he didn't do it, then his lawsuits are valid.
Nicholas Hillary. Thomas Mortati of Burke, Scalamero, Mortati, and Hurd for the defendants, and I'm here with Amanda Sherman of my office, as well as defendants Edward Tischler and Mark Murray. Good morning, Mr. Hillary. As you know, my name is Tom Mortati, and I represent the defendants in a lawsuit that you brought, and we're going to be here doing your deposition today. Monday, October 24, 2011. I want to start with the beginning of the day. Do you recall when you got up that day? Objection to relevance.
I typically get up around 6:30 in the morning.
What vehicle were you driving, sir? Objection to relevance.
I was driving my vehicle.
What vehicle was that?
A Honda.
Can you tell me the make and model, or rather the model and year? Objection to relevance.
It's a CRV 209.
Light blue?
That is correct.
Do you recall entering the Potsdam High School parking lot in your vehicle that afternoon, October 24th, 2011?
Objection, relevance. Yes.
Why were you going to Potsdam High School that day?
Objection, relevance. To watch a soccer game.
And what did you do while you were in the parking spot?
Objection, relevance. Waiting for the rain to break.
Did it break?
No.
And where did you go?
I went home.
Mr. Hillary, are you aware that approximately 7 seconds before you left the Potsdam High School parking lot onto Leroy Street, Garrett Phillips left the Potsdam High School parking lot onto Leroy Street?
Objection, relevance. Calls or facts not yet in evidence. No.
And you didn't see Garrett Phillips at all in that parking lot, correct?
Objection, asked and answered, relevance. No.
Mr. Hillary, are you aware that Garrett Phillips turned left out of the Potsdam High School parking lot that afternoon as he left Potsdam High School?
Objection, relevance. No.
Are you aware, Mr. Hillary, that there is security camera video that shows you turning left in the same direction as Garrett Phillips, exiting Potsdam High School parking lot in your blue Honda CRV that afternoon?
Objection, relevance, assumed facts not yet in evidence. No.
Mr. Hillary, your apartment was to the right, up Leroy Street from Potsdam High School, correct?
Yes.
And you've told me under oath on 2 different occasions that you went home that day, leaving Potsdam High School parking lot, correct?
Yes.
The fastest way for you to get from the Potsdam High School parking lot to your apartment would be to turn right out of the parking lot onto Leroy Street to go in the direction of your apartment.
Do the one again.
Sure. And the fastest way for you to get to your apartment, driving from Potsdam High School, would be to exit the parking lot and to turn right onto Leroy Street, correct?
Yes.
And if you made a left out of that parking lot, and Garrett Phillips was on the sidewalk on...
So right there, that's a big problem, right? Because they asked him, you said that you was going there to watch the soccer game. Okay, fine, right? Your daughter go to that school, right? You said you went home. If you went home, if you was trying to go home and primarily, like you wasn't making a stop anywhere else, you would turn right. You wouldn't turn left. The video shows you turning left where that little boy was going, the direction to get to his house. So if you, let's say, for example, you said you wanted to stop at the supermarket, the grocery store, the gas station, whatever it is, you should add that in. But you said, no, you just went straight home. So now, even with that little bit of detail, it's going to make your story a little less credible. That's all I'm going to say. Right. Yeah, Shannon. He said that he went home, but you didn't. If the quickest way for you to get home is to go right and you went left, why did you go left? Hi, Billy. Let's go on. Let's hear what he has to say for himself.
On Leroy Street, approximately 7 to 8 seconds ahead of you. Your testimony, you never saw him at any point while you were doing that?
Objection, asked and answered. Compound. That is correct. Typically, if I make a left out the parking lot, I would be checking in with my assistant coach who lived on Gardner Street, which is what I would normally do.
Is that what you did that afternoon?
I cannot recall.
This deposition from Nick's civil suit became public, and Mary Rain presented it alongside other evidence to a grand jury, using it as an attempt to obtain an indictment against Nick. 3 days later, the grand jury returned the indictment and Nick Hillary was arrested.
100% innocent. 100% innocent. That's all I have to say.
His civil suit was officially put on hold. However, this indictment was dismissed by the judge due to prosecutorial misconduct. To understand the context behind this decision, we must take a look back at the timeline of the crime. The police believed this was the timeline of Garrett's murder. However, Nick claims that he was at home, specifically arriving at home at about 4:55 p.m., speaking to his daughter Shanna about what he was going to do for dinner, and then leaving at 5:15 p.m. This provides Nick with an alibi during the time that the murder took place, which interfered with the prosecution's timeline of events. So, they interviewed his daughter and discovered that at about 6:30 p.m., an hour and a half after Nick claims to have been talking to her about dinner, she texted her father saying, "What's for dinner?" However, any damning evidence obtained from this interview was ultimately useless. According to the judge, who eventually saw the contents of the interview, Mary Rain's questioning was considered badgering and inappropriate. This is what led to the dismissal of Nick's initial indictment, but only 4 months later, he was indicted once again.
Now, this is the second time Hillary has been indicted for Phillips' death. Oral Nick Hillary was back in a St. Lawrence County courtroom Monday. Hillary was arraigned on a charge of second-degree murder.
The DA's office has until 30 days before trial to hand over all photo and video evidence.
They're going to find what I found. The video inculpates. That means it tends to show that Oral Nicholas Hillary was at the crime scene, was present during the time of the murder, and in fact is evidence that he did murder Garrett Phillips.
Heading into the trial, Nick opted for a trial by judge, known as a bench trial. In other words, he would have no jury, and the judge would have total control over Nick's verdict.
Good morning, everybody. Please be seated. We're on the record. This is the people of the state of New York against Oral Nicholas Hillary.
I just want to say he was very smart and he had a very good lawyer to do a bench trial instead of a jury, right? Because with the jury, you are getting judged amongst your peers. They've been saying for the past 2.5 years that he was the one who killed this little boy. It would not make any sense of him at all for him to go to trial and think that anybody is going to actually look at the evidence and not have biases against him. So going for a bench trial was really, really smart on the defense attorney's part, because now the judge can only judge it by all the evidence that's been added into it, the recordings, even his interview. He has to use the evidence that's laid around him to make a decision. He can't use outside opinions or anything. So that was very smart. Let's go on.
Mr. Fitzpatrick, your opening statement.
Thank you very much. It is, it's normally at this point, Judge, where either you or some of the litigants would say to a jury to keep an open mind. And I don't think, Judge, I've ever beseeched someone more in a criminal case to keep an open mind than I would in this matter right now. Let's examine in what is the most conclusive piece of guilt against this man. At the exact instant Garrett reaches Leroy Street, the defendant backs up, Kate turns out of the parking lot, and according to him, at least a dozen times under oath, I went straight home, back to my daughter. Except the camera doesn't lie. Mr. Hillary doesn't turn right. He turns left because he's hunting Garrett Phillips.
From day one, the murder investigation focused almost exclusively on Nick Hillary. You will learn that after a thorough inspection of the deceased's apartment at 100 Market Street, the police found no fingerprints, no hairs, or no fibers linking Nick Hillary to this crime. You will not see or hear any credible evidence of Nick or Nick's car approaching, at, or leaving 100 Market Street during the critical time when Nick exits the parking lot until Officer Mark Wentworth found the deceased. And why? Because he wasn't there.
The defense tried to nullify the school parking lot footage by comparing it with other footage. This was their argument. The school parking lot surveillance saw Garrett riding past Nick on his ripstick, hence the prosecution claiming that Nick was stalking Garrett right before murdering him. However, Garrett can also be seen in surveillance footage of a nearby hospital, riding past John Jones moments after he pulled into his driveway. The question, why did police focus on Nick Hillary but not John Jones, is asked by many when examining this case. After all, John had a history of volatile behavior in his relationship with Tandy. Moreover, John was technically a suspect in Garrett's murder at one point as well. He also had evidence photos taken of his body, but the level of treatment between John and Nick is night and day. From the beginning, Nick was treated inhumanely, literally stripping away his rights as well as his clothes. On the other hand, they treated John with respect, even allowing him to be involved in the case despite being a suspect himself, holding hands with Tandy throughout the entire process. The defense emphasized these points, expressing that since the beginning of the investigation, law enforcement had set their sights on Nick Hillary, blind to the fact that all of the evidence tying him to the crime was purely circumstantial. After an intense legal battle, it was time for the closing arguments.
The prosecution has pieced together, they've cobbled together fabrics of so-called evidence. And they've given you, Judge, a torn and tattered quilt. And they've given this torn and tattered quilt to you, and they've called it circumstantial evidence. They're trying to paint this picture of Nick as an obsessed psychopath who, unable to get the love of his life, kills her child. Does that make sense? Submit to you, it makes absolutely no sense. It's not the type of theory you bring into a courtroom and ask a judge to find a man guilty of murder. Guilty of murder in the second degree. What they're trying to do here, Your Honor, what they're trying to do here is to demonize this man. I know the prosecutor's going to stand up here and he's going to say to you in the loudest voice as he can, you have to convict Nick Hillary. And he will say to you, I have proven my case beyond a reasonable doubt. Judge, this case is riddled with doubt.
I can't emphasize enough, Judge, how in this case, there's two possible explanations. You have to give the benefit of the doubt to the defendant. But possibility number one is either Nick Hillary is the victim of the most bizarre convergence of coincidences since man first learned to write and record history, and he sits there an innocent man, or on October the 24th, 2011, obsessed by his breakup with Tandy Cyrus, enraged that it came down to the needs of a 12-year-old boy, as if there was some moral confluence between his needs and the needs of a 12-year-old boy, he entered that boy's apartment, he chased him down, he dragged him into a bedroom, and he spent 90 seconds choking the life out of him. And he's been lying about it ever since. And we're here, Your Honor, because of tapes. And frankly, none more important than Exhibit 71. And there's the last time we ever see Garrett Phillips alive. Garrett Phillips wasn't killed.
All right, so before we go on, how I'm looking at this case, the defense attorney have a very strong case, right? They have a stronger case than the prosecution, because the prosecution based their whole case on that one video of seeing Nick's car in the parking lot or rolling across the parking lot at the same time as Garrett when he was leaving to go home. They don't show that he actually followed him down the street. No street camera shows that he was following him to his house. You have no fingerprints. You have no DNA. You didn't find any DNA under his fingernails. You didn't find no DNA in reference of the cut or anything like that. So you have nothing to actually pin him that he was at Garrett's house at the time of the crime, but only that particular video. And at the end of the day, we know that the detectives and police, they want to solve the crime as quickly as possible. So they go through the process of elimination as fastly as they possibly could. They go to the who's the closest person, husband, wife, girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-husband, and we've seen the process, right? Once they realized that he was the ex-boyfriend of this lady, they was just thinking that they went automatically with that story that this is an ex-lover who's mad that the woman no longer wanted to be with him, and he probably did not plan to harm Garrett. He probably planned to just show up at the house and wait there until the mom comes home. But, you know, startled Garrett. Garrett wanted him out the house. He tried to silence him and he ended up strangling him. And the whole point is they left the process. They left out John, the ex-husband. He was also a suspect at a time too. And they literally eliminated him from the whole entire thing, but they didn't even take into consideration about the prior report that the wife put in about her ex-husband threatening to unalive her and to harm her during their divorce process. So they have a stronger case in the prosecution, but let's see how far they go with this.
By someone passing through town who hates little boys. He was killed by Nick Hillary. He wanted to be with his friends. He wanted to occasionally watch TV, Judge. He wanted to play on his ripstick. He wanted to be 12 years old.
That is
and not
true.
be dictated to. And that cost him his life. And now Garrett belongs to the ages. He's forever 12. I wish you Godspeed, Judge. I pray to God you've seen this defendant for what he truly is. A person who with premeditation murdered a beautiful 12-year-old little boy. And he did it so arrogantly and stupidly that he can now finally be brought to justice. Thank you, Your Honor.
About a week later, the court was scheduled to deliver Nick's verdict.
This is a 7 News special report.
Good morning. We're
Please be
interrupting
seated, ladies and
programming to
gentlemen.
bring you the verdict in the
morning,
Nick Hillary murder
welcome
trial.
back
Let's
to
listen
St.
in
Lawrence
now
County
in
Court.
Canton.
This is a continuation of the people of the state of New York against Oral Nicholas Hillary, indictment number 2015-015. The matter was scheduled this morning for the court to deliver its verdict. Mr. Hillary, if you'll please rise. This court has fully and fairly considered the evidence in this case pursuant to that standard, along with the other applicable and stipulated to criminal instructions. Accordingly, it is the judgment of this court that as to the charge of murder in the second degree as charged in the indictment, the defendant, Oral Nicholas Hillary, is found not guilty. There having been an acquittal, the court shall enter an order pursuant to section 16050 of the criminal procedure law. Bail is exonerated and the defendant is released. Ladies and gentlemen, this court is adjourned. Thank you.
All right, you heard from Judge Felix Katina just about a minute ago. Nick Hillary found not guilty of the charge of murder in the second degree. There's Earl Ward, one of his defense attorneys, shaking someone's hand, and you can see Nick Hillary there relieved, hugging his defense team right now. And just a moment ago, we saw pictures of the victim's mother, Tandy Collins, visibly upset with that verdict of not guilty. She was crying, and certainly a packed house in the Canton courthouse. Nick Hillary, of course, very emotional right now. This has been a very long road for him. This murder happened almost 5 years ago, and just within the day of the murder of Garrett Phillips happening, media outlets were told about a person of interest, and we later learned that person was Nick Hillary. So this has been a 5-year ordeal for him. You can see he is very emotional. Again, what you have just heard from Judge Felix Katina, a not guilty verdict.
Oral Nick Hillary was acquitted on all charges and now resides in a New Jersey home with his children. A few years later, in 2018, Mary Rain was barred from practicing law in New York State for 2 years due to severe and persistent misconduct. Most recently, in 2022, Nick's civil lawsuit finally concluded. The jury determined that Nick's detainment by the police back in his 2011 interrogation was not unlawful, clearing Potsdam and any investigators involved. Tandy Cyrus continues Garrett's legacy by raising money for after-school programs in his name.
Oh, that one was sad. That one was really sad. I'm glad that they found him not guilty. There wasn't enough evidence. I mean, at first when I seen that video of him turning left and knowing that he could have turned right to get home, I was like, yeah, you need to explain where you was going, buddy, right? But at the end of the day, they didn't find no evidence. They found no DNA. If the boy died from strangulation, they should be able to have some form of evidence of him even being in the house, and they couldn't find it. Even though he got acquitted, that boy's life is still gone, and his murderer is still out there. And now you have a whole town that has to deal with the loss of a sweet little boy. A mother don't have her son. A lot of people was affected with this whole situation. I do believe that the police should have looked into a little bit more about the ex-husband. I think that if they would have did their due diligence and not just only just hurry up and went with the narrative of the ex-boyfriend and took into consideration more about the ex-husband and also him being a sheriff and all this, and him also threatening to harm the mom and injure her. That was an actual report. Maybe they could have led to something else, but nonetheless, it's still unfortunate that that little boy lost his life. That he should be able to go to school, come home, play video games, eat a snack, wait until his mom come home without him having to lose his life. I mean, I think that all children should be afforded that. This is just terrible nonetheless at the end of the day. Okay, so let's see. I have another one for you where we're going to actually look at the psychology of a pathological liar. So this woman was participated in the unaliving, but during her interrogation process, the amount of lies that kept on adding up through it is unbelievable. So we're going to look at this with each other. And anybody who's looking in, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Please make sure you're hitting the like button while you're coming in or just coming in to say hello or you're exiting out. It really does help the channel. So I appreciate you in going forward. So let's go on.
Do I think that you're a cold-blooded killer? No, I hope you're not a cold-blooded killer. I have not killed him. I hope he's not even dead. He's not. I honestly can't look at you and believe a word that's come out of your mouth. You have lied and lied and lied.
My family's being affected. My mom's got heart problems. She's over my house right now cleaning for Thanksgiving. My own parents were scared to come to my house for Thanksgiving.
It's the bottom of the ninth. Mm-hmm. And you've got two strikes, Keaton.
I appreciate you.
Okay?
I want the truth from you for the first time since November 29th.
I told you the truth.
I was never a mukbang channel, Kevin. Thank you.
In the city of Tampa, Florida, in the year 2006, a 39-year-old man by the name of Abraham Shakespeare stops at a gas station with his friend Michael Ford. He insists Michael purchase a lottery ticket for each of them for the Florida Lotto. Just like anybody, Abraham puts his ticket inside his wallet and carries on with his week, until one day, unlike any other, Abraham strikes gold. In November of 2006, Abraham checks the numbers on his lottery ticket, only to find that he had just won $30 million. Abraham Lee Shakespeare was born on April 24, 1966, in Lakeland, Florida. Growing up, his family was not very fortunate financially, and Abraham would also find himself going through troubles during his years in school. This eventually caused Abraham to drop out of school when he was only 12 years old, halfway through the 7th grade. Abraham suffered academically and hadn't fully developed his reading or writing comprehension skills. This is known as being illiterate. This continued to affect Abraham into his adult years. Due to this, Abraham constantly found himself relying on the assistance of others to fully understand specific issues that he would encounter throughout his life, trusting that these individuals had his best interest in mind. Abraham had also gotten into a bit of trouble throughout his juvenile and early adult years, committing crimes such as burglary and armed robbery. This resulted in several arrests and even a brief encounter with the U.S. prison system. He cleaned up his act well behind bars and came out a better man, working multiple jobs and officially turning his life around. He found love in the year 1999 and had his first child in the year 2000. When Abraham won $30 million via the Florida Lotto, he opted for a bulk payout, turning his take-home into around $17 million, which then turned into about $12 million after being taxed. Abraham quickly went on a spending spree. He purchased some expensive jewelry and watches, several boats, some new cars, and a home valued about $1.3 million. He would help any of his friends who needed some financial assistance, and even take groups of friends on vacation after vacation. Michael Ford, the man who actually purchased the tickets for each of them, decided to challenge Abraham in court, stating that he purchased the ticket so the winnings were rightfully his. He also stated that Abraham actually stole said ticket from Michael's vehicle. Abraham ended up winning this case, and the court deemed the winnings were rightfully Abraham's. Despite an influx of old and new friends contacting Abraham on a regular basis, Abraham quickly learned that these people were using him for his money. Nobody was there for him when he needed them. They were only around when they needed something from him. Abraham noticed his spending habits were not sustainable, and that he was burning through his money at a rate that could end in disaster, as it does for many that choose to spend their earnings recklessly. In 2008,
I just want to also say, for the simple fact that happens to many people who win the lottery. Many people who win the lottery, within 2 years, they lose all their earnings because they spend crazy amount of money. They buy things that they never thought that they could ever buy or ever afford, and they get carried away. And then the next minute they know, the money is gone. Then they also have lurking family members and friends and everybody calling you up since junior high school, talk about, remember we used to hang out, used to be best of friends, and everybody has something going on in their life where they need some financial assistance. And he's starting to realize what happens when you do become a lottery winner. And I will say, if you win the lottery, ladies and gents, don't tell nobody. Do not go online. Don't go on camera and take the big check so people can see you. Don't do it. Just get the money and act normal. Go back to your job. Don't quit your job. Act normal. Look at it as a savings. Look at it as something that you might want to invest in, or start your business, but don't go recklessly buying clothes and all that garbage, okay? That's going to deteriorate once you buy it. Let's go on.
2 years after receiving his winnings, Abraham had spent 11 of the $12 million, leaving him with slightly over $1 million. Abraham went on to participate in a TV news interview, opening up about his situation.
I really would like my old life back where I could walk the streets like a normal person, but got people coming up asking for money.
It was shortly after this interview that a woman by the name of Doris Moore, a friend of the real estate agent that sold Abraham his new home, would contact Abraham with the proposition of helping him stretch his remaining $1 million for as long as needed, and possibly even turning it into more money. Her strategy was simple. while she assisted with his budgeting. She was going to simultaneously write a novel surrounding Abraham's life and story as a lottery winner who believed he had it all, only to learn that money does not buy happiness. Within weeks, Abraham was on board, and Doris was now his full-time writer and financial advisor. Doris would work aggressively during the first few months, investing his money wisely, and even chasing down debts that were owed to Abraham. It appeared as though the decision to hire her was actually paying off. Until November 9th, 2009. Abraham's cousin had not spoken with him for months, so he decided to call the police. He told the police that he hadn't heard from Abraham since April 7th, 7 months earlier. However, he did notice that Doris had continued managing Abraham's finances and accessing his accounts during that time. Abraham was then formally reported as a missing person.
Have you seen this millionaire? His name is Abraham Shakespeare. This is him being interviewed after he won a $30 million Florida jackpot. He opted for the lump sum payment after taxes worth about $12 million. That was back in November 2006. In the tiny town of Frostproof, Florida, it was at this convenience store that Abraham Shakespeare bought the lotto
Paul,
ticket
you didn't
that
even give
changed
it a
his life.
chance.
But it's a life that officials now fear may have ended in foul play. Shakespeare did spend some of the cash, this $1 million luxury home in a gated community, and he gave money, lots of it apparently, to friends.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Doris Donegan, aka Dee Moore. Throughout Doris's life, she struggled maintaining her finances. She would throw herself in and out of business deals that would all eventually crash and burn. She once worked for a cellular phone company and later attempted to run her own company in the same industry. During this time, she purchased a vehicle, and when her company collapsed, she stopped making her payments. Instead of allowing the vehicle to get repossessed, or even just simply avoiding repossession, she decided to tie herself up and lay on the ground off the side of the highway. When somebody spotted her, she went on to claim that 3 Hispanic men assaulted her and stole her vehicle. She followed all of the required steps to try to add credibility to the robbery, including being medically evaluated at the hospital and partaking in several police interviews. The police took her word for it and opened an investigation. Less than 3 days later, a man contacted the police and told them that Doris had actually paid him $500 to hide the vehicle and that the vehicle was currently parked on his property. Doris seemed to believe that if the car was reported stolen, she would no longer be responsible for the remaining amount owed, and that she eventually would be able to continue driving this vehicle without having it repossessed. She then faced charges for insurance fraud and for making a false police report. In 2001, Doris also decided to stop paying her rent. When she was confronted regarding this issue, she claimed that there were people out to harm her, and she was currently unable to make her rent payments, as she was trying to protect herself from these people. She later stated it was a nameless ex-co-worker who was stalking her and threatening her life. Doris was beginning to show signs of being a pathological liar, also known as mythomania and pseudologia fantastica. Being a pathological liar is not in itself a mental health diagnosis. However, it is a well-established concept in psychology. Pathological lying is generally more related to frequently disordered thinking patterns and beliefs. The word pathological actually indicates that there's an underlying pathology or illness. Hence, the signs of being a pathological liar are associated with various underlying mental health conditions. Pathological liars may lie for a specific reason, or their lying may be more random. This means that pathological lying is not defined by the frequency of the lies, more so at the significant distress and danger that this lying causes. For example, a pathological liar may lie about their homicidal tendencies in a therapy session, putting themselves or others in imminent danger. A pathological liar not only lies frequently, but may feel a compulsion to do so. This type of liar cannot stop lying even when it causes psychological distress or puts themselves or others in danger, creates problems with their work, relationships, or other aspects of their daily life. All of these traits seemed to embody Doris Donegan. However, Doris somehow turned her life around and started a fairly successful company in 2004, earning close to $200,000 a year. Things began to appear like Doris was on the right track, until her previous tendencies started to catch up to her. In 2006, Doris was introduced to a younger couple who was looking for assistance, establishing a new company. They gave Doris $60,000 to be used for any expenses along the way.
Oh, we're going to get on to this, but everybody put a 1 in the chat if you have ever came across a pathological liar. Now that they gave you a real good example of what a pathological liar is, and also how dangerous they can be, right? They do not care. They do it because they want to get out of something, or they just do it randomly because they just like this, they have what I would say. They have the Loki spirit, right? They like to see mischief. They like to see people in a frenzy. They get a kick out of it. Put a 1 in the chat. Oh, we got these ones coming. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. So Ebony says she has experienced it. All right. Miss Jalen. Yes, yes. Paul. Yes, yes. Absolutely. Yep. Mastiff. Yes, yes. Exactly. Yeah, it is like a covert narcissist. Absolutely. Yes, correct. Oh my God. Peter said he almost married one. I am so happy that you got out of Dodge, sir. I'm so happy that you got out of Dodge, sir. For real, for that one. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, if you believe that they're good examples, okay, I see that. I definitely see that. Oh no, Janae said, I hope not. Oh wow, yeah, I know, right? You don't want to meet across one, right? Joanne, 1, yes, exactly. Yes, they are puppet masters. Absolutely. They got the spirit of Loki in them. I have had my experience with pathological liars, okay? So let's go on.
The way. Doris then kept the $60,000 and refused to help this couple any further, citing that the money she was provided was for her time, and that she was unable to gain any traction setting up their business. Doris continued to run this type of scam on several other people, as it appeared they somehow had no grounds to pursue her in court. This continued until 2008. When Doris connected with Abraham, and quickly after the business deal between the two began, a recently divorced Doris moved in to Abraham's mansion. The police decided to check Abraham's home following the missing persons report. When they knocked on the door, Doris answered. They asked her some questions regarding Abraham's whereabouts, and she replied quickly and confidently. And then she grabbed a briefcase full of documents. She stated that Abraham had decided to go into hiding, liquidate all of his belongings, including his home, to Doris, and basically just disappear for a little while. She showed the officers the corresponding documents signed by Abraham as she spoke. She also stated that he did this because he was exhausted of the publicity that he gained from the winnings, and to escape the needy people he had gotten entangled with. She even went as far as showing the officers multiple videos of Abraham that she recorded on April 9th, where she eerily questioned Abraham about what he wants to do with his life.
Do you get tired of people asking you for money all the time, Abe?
I didn't tell that a year ago. They don't take no for an ounce or so. I just let them keep on asking.
So where you want to go to?
It don't matter to me. I'm not a picky person.
California? Cozumel? You want a foreign country?
Baby.
Are you going to miss your home?
Yep, I miss it, but life goes on.
Well, they asked me why I'd want to buy your bad debts, and I told them I bought them from him because he can't collect anyways, and every time you try to collect, they threaten to kill you. So you're not ever going to get anything. Are you sure this is what you want to do about leaving this house? You're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss it when you leave. This is what you want to do.
Yes.
Despite having video and audio recordings discussing his leaving, when the officers asked exactly where he went, she said, "How the hell would I know?" This drastically increased.
All right, so like I am on front. Like that seems very weird and suspicious to me, right? Because didn't earlier the cousin of this guy said that he haven't spoken to his cousin until since April. It was like 7 months. And it's just so crazy how she had recordings of him talking about leaving around the same time when the cousin said that he haven't heard from him. Now, I understand he was tired of all people coming to him asking for money and stuff like that. He probably didn't want the big house anymore, right? But just because he said he doesn't want the big house anymore, that doesn't mean that he's not like, it doesn't mean that he wants you to keep all his money and he wants to go and be a nomad. No. You was hired as his financial advisor. You was hired to help him build his wealth. He just didn't want to be the figurehead of it, right? He wanted people to not to have to deal with you and not deal with him. And even if he says he want to leave the house, I mean, I was thinking that he was going to sell it. Like maybe he don't need that $1 million house, right? Maybe he wanted a nice, simple, small house somewhere, that is a little bit more, outskirts and stuff like that. It's not in the city. People can't get access to him easily. Maybe that's what he wanted. It's just weird to me that he will sign everything over to her. She has every documentation of him signing everything over to him. Like his whole entire estate, his money, the house, everything. So you're literally living in his house as him, but you don't even know where he is. That's crazy. Let's go on.
Police suspicion, and the investigation ramped up. Officers now obtained a warrant to search through both Abraham's and Doris's phone records and belongings. During this process, they had noticed that Abraham was sending and receiving nearly hundreds of text messages every day up until April 9th, 2009. On that day, everything completely stopped. Everything except his conversations with Doris. Police found that after April 9th, Abraham and Doris continued texting each other for the following 3 months. Strangely, during each conversation, it appeared as though both of their phones were seemingly in the exact same location. When Doris was confronted with this information, she said, "You got me. I've been helping Abraham hide away by texting myself from his phone." The officers then asked her to get in touch with Abraham for them. She replied,
Hi Tonka, how you doing? He said I took a psychopathy test and scored 89 over 100. What are your thoughts on this? Tell you the truth, unless you had took a test from actual certified psychologists or sociologists, the tests that you take online, they're just I wouldn't say they're all for fun, right? They're like some of them can give you hints and clues about things about yourself, but don't take it too much to heart, per se, unless you actually get properly diagnosed, right? But even if you score high on psychopathy, that doesn't necessarily make you a psychopath, nor will you act on things that psychopaths or serial killers would do, right? It's just telling you about how your mindset is, like, how you control your emotions, whether or not if you have emotions with certain things, it might be very elevated. Don't take it too much to heart because, sometimes when we take those psycho tests and stuff to find out whether we're a sociopath and stuff like that online, it's very similar to City MD, where once you read up a symptom, you think that you have it, like, oh my God, I got cancer. Don't do it. Okay. Go get proper, evaluation from professionals to see whether or not if this is something concerning for you. Let's go on.
"I can't. I have no idea where he is."
Now, she says she too cannot find him. Sheriff Judd isn't buying it.
She was texting from Abraham's cell phone to her cell phone and to other people's cell phone, giving the illusion that it was Abraham.
How do you know she has his cell phone?
She told us.
And she told you she did the texting?
Yes, because she was creating the illusion for him to stay hidden.
In the only interview she has given, Dee Dee Moore told the Lakeland Ledger she believes Abraham Shakespeare is still alive.
I think that he'll pop up if he realizes how the extent of what level this investigation went to.
Then she began to cry as she complained about the police search of her home and car.
I'm done. What else can they do to me? They've turned my life inside out.
When officers asked her for the phone, she said she threw it out her window while she was driving down the highway. Despite this information being quite damning, Doris was not yet arrested. In December of 2009, Abraham's mother gets a call from a strange man. This strange man says something along the lines of, "Hey mom, it's me, Abraham. Everything is all right. I just needed a break from everything for a little while. We will talk soon." Of course, Abraham's mother was well aware that this voice did not belong to her son. When police traced this call, they discovered a man named Greg Smith. Officers were able to obtain a warrant to triangulate Greg's location based on his most recent calls. They then decided to wait for a new call to appear before heading to the location that call appeared to be placed from. This led them to a shopping center parking lot. They parked their undercover police vehicle and watched as Greg pulled up. As they monitored Greg, they noticed a very familiar car pull up as well. This vehicle then parked directly in front of Greg's truck. Doris Donegan then exited her car and walked up to Greg's window. She handed him an envelope. Greg can then be seen pulling cash out of this envelope and counting it. Doris then got back into her car and drove off. Officers then followed Greg out of the parking lot for a few blocks, until making a quick decision to cut him off and confront him about the transaction with Doris. Greg then quickly admitted to the investigators that Doris had paid him $5,000 to make the call to Abraham's mother. Doris Donegan, aka Dee Moore, was promptly named a person of interest in the disappearance of Abraham Shakespeare.
Authorities say a business associate, Dee Moore, took great pains to make it appear as if the missing millionaire was alive after he was last seen last April, but she says she doesn't know where he is.
Frankly, she's a con artist. And if she were trying to sell me something, I wouldn't buy it today.
Moore told detectives she befriended Shakespeare, giving him financial advice after he won the $31 million in 2007. But police aren't buying that either. She transferred more than $1 million from Shakespeare's bank account into one of her own, telling detectives later the money was a gift.
We can see where the money went to American Medical Professionals, which is in her name, and the president is listed as her friend's Shar Korinsky.
Now, Moore is considered a person of interest in the disappearance of Abraham Shakespeare, but she's yet to be charged with anything.
Around this time frame, Doris took part in an interview with a local news station regarding Abraham's disappearance.
So before you even met him, he'd already burned through $11 million. A lot of that was in loans to family and friends.
Everybody and their brother was coming to him. He got so bad that when he first won, his mom will tell you, and even his neighbors will tell you, they had cars lined up, and they would stay there, lined up outside, till he woke up, no matter what time of day. So if it was 10 or 11, they would stay outside until he got up. He liked the attention that it gave him, but he didn't like the fact that people would call him and ask for it all the time. He would get frustrated because he would tell them no, and they wouldn't take no for him. So I came in, and he wanted to go ahead and start over. He wanted a new life. He was tired of people calling him, harassing him for money. I understand what he's going through, and I know he's okay in my heart. But I hope that, he can come back around.
When's the last time you actually saw him?
I think it was April.
Okay, so it's been a good while.
Yeah.
Doris now believed that Abraham's cousin might be involved.
Cedric lived in a house that I own. Abraham bought that because Cedric kept asking him to buy a house, for him. They're supposed to be making payments. Well, they don't make their payments back. Well, he got tired of that and said,
Woo! Boy. This lady has no bounds. She has no bounds. It was the cousin who put in the missing person situation about where did this guy go. You apparently knew that he wanted to leave, and apparently he left everything, all his money and everything to you, but you don't even know where he is. Like, what would be the point of you not knowing where he is? Doesn't he have to contact you if he needs money for food, or if he wants to purchase something? You're his financial advisor. So if you're in control of his whole entire estate and everything, he will have to be in contact with you. But how is he able to contact you when you have his phone and you're pretending, sending messages as if you're talking to him throughout the months? And then when they ask you for the phone, you say you threw it out the window. Why would you throw it out the window? How are you getting in contact with this man? You haven't, so you're saying you haven't heard from this man, you haven't seen this man since April 9th, the same day that you sat him in the living room and was videotaping him, recorded him saying that he wants to get away and that he wants to possibly move to California or another state or a different country, and he wants to leave this all behind. Like, this lady, and now she's trying to allude to the cousin having something to do with the disappearance of this guy. He was the first one who mentioned it. You didn't even tell the family. Let's go on.
That, you know, they're never going to pay me. That's when he had want to leave and said, hey, I'll sell you the house. So he told Cedric, I sold you to the house, I'm leaving. You owe her the payments every month.
Yes, please hit the like button. I truly appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
had threatened him with eviction. So you think he filed in retaliation against you? Yeah, absolutely. There, he tied me up under investigation. Then I would be under investigation. And guess what happened when we were meeting? You know, then everybody's little things would go away. They wouldn't have to worry about paying anybody.
Although this sounded like a reasonably possible accusation, Doris just could not keep herself out of trouble. Doris's use for Greg didn't end after he outed her to the police. Instead, Doris contacted him again and asked if he knew anybody who she could use as a fall guy, somebody to say that they had murdered Abraham. Greg said sure, as long as you tell me exactly what you did. Greg then immediately called the police and reported this conversation. Investigators told Greg to set up another meeting so he and Doris can discuss a price. During this meeting, they planted a wire inside a Red Bull can that Greg was acting.
Do y'all see the arrogance in some of these pathological liars, these covert nervous narcissists? The guy literally told the police the truth when he got caught up. And your ego made you go back to him again and say, hey, can you send somebody to be a setup to say that Abraham is gone? So you just admitted that Abraham is no longer alive. He's no longer alive. So this whole entire time about you don't know what his whereabouts is, you don't know what's going on, you made sure that you had everything that he owned, all his money, all signed over to you prior to his missing, and now he's no longer alive, and you need someone to be the setup guy to take the fall, and you call the same guy who just ratted you out because your ego. Because your ego, you're like, oh, I've been getting away with this for so long. I mean, hey, everybody's believing my story. You know, I have documentation. I have the paperwork. What is there not to believe? This is getting scary and wicked and crazy. Be careful out there, folks. I told you, 20%. Y'all can fact check me, but they have stated in the United States alone, 20% of the adult population are narcissists. Pay attention. Let's go on.
Actively pretending to drink out of.
Then what do you want?
50 grand.
Can I do it in payments? Because I don't have that kind of cash. I'm going to have to sell something.
I'm gonna need 10 up front. Once I do this, make sure my boy get the money.
Following this meeting, they planned another fake meeting. This time, there was a third party present. This third party was an undercover police officer. Doris believed that this undercover officer was going to act as a fall guy for her. As she arrived to this meeting, she handed Greg a towel. Inside the towel was a gun that she claimed murdered Abraham. She also brought a hand-drawn map that she claimed was a map to the location of Abraham's remains. Doris still denied any involvement in his murder.
These cops are trying to frame me for killing Abraham. I really didn't kill the man.
Okay, where's the serial number?
Serial number is, I don't know where they're all. They could be inside.
They still won't be able to do it. Forensic files taught me a lot of. See, he need to give him a murder weapon. You need to start thinking about self-defense. See, get dogs on self-defense.
You're going to be a legend, and you're going to be in a book, and probably on the Oprah show.
After following the map that Doris provided, which took them to the backyard of a house that she owned, investigators found a large concrete surface recently installed in this location, so they began tearing this concrete up. As they started their dig, Doris was finally arrested and questioned by investigators regarding Abraham's disappearance. During her first interview, she stuck to her story that Abraham ran away, but now she had a plethora of different reasons why.
Because he wanted to pretend that he was dying of AIDS so that he doesn't have to pay child support and people won't look for him if he's dying of AIDS. It was a videotape of him having sex with a girl.
She was then confronted about the gun and the map, and her story changed again. She then stated that some man named Ronald murdered Abraham right in front of her. She was then being used as a pawn to help Ronald communicate with Greg. She stated that she did this because she was worried about herself and her son's safety.
No, I'm not the one that shot him. I wouldn't hurt him.
Then who did, Dee Dee? Tell us. You were able to contact Ronald, and Ronald told you right where that body was at. Really? But you can't get a hold of Ronald, but you got a hold of Ronald then. Come on. It's over.
I told him I had to meet him back later to make sure.
Dee Dee, there's no Ronald.
The man threatened to kill my son. I don't even know Ronald's last name.
Doris's story changed several times. Her traits as a pathological liar started to leak through her facade like never before. As the officers felt more confident with the evidence against her, her web of lies only became more tangled. Her third story was that the murder was actually a drug deal gone wrong.
It was a drug deal that went bad, and the guy's name is something. I just found it out.
But with her inability to fill in the blanks, the officers quickly called BS on that tale.
If there's ever been some kind of cover-up, you did it on this case.
I had to.
Her fourth story was that Abraham's cousin Cedric, the man who reported Abraham missing, had actually pulled the trigger and shot Abraham twice, both times in the chest. This happened very quickly, after visiting a safe that was supposed to contain money for Abraham. When the safe was opened, there was no money and only a gun. Cedric then grabbed this gun and fired. Doris stated that this was because Abraham purchased a house for Cedric and was trying to collect a series of past due mortgage payments from him.
It's the bottom of the ninth, and you've got 2 strikes, Dee Dee. Okay?
I watched Cedric shoot him. I was in the room. But I'm telling you, Cedric took the gun and in cold blood did not even.
This lady done said, she done stated at least 5 to 6 different stories about what happened to Abraham. I don't understand, what do she thinks that the more that she talks, that she's going to be credible. They're tired of you, ma'am. They gave you the benefit of a doubt earlier on, and the more that you continue to talk, the more lies started coming out, the more different narratives started coming out. When you started to get caught up with the guy, Cedric, knowing that you was actually talking to him, talking about, hey, frame this guy on killing Abraham. I need you to, I'm gonna pay you $5,000 to send a text message to his mom so his mom will stop worrying. Ma'am, it's a wrap. It's over for you. But the simple fact that she's continuously going on, that is that ego right there. That's that strong ego death. She's not trying to let it go, because in her mind, she believes that everything that she says is the truth because she wants it to be so.
Hesitate to shoot the man, and I've seen it happen.
As mentioned earlier, most pathological liars will present lies that not only put themselves in imminent danger, but may also put others in danger as well. This is usually due to a compulsion caused by the desire to remain in control. Doris takes her lies to another extreme, her fifth story possibly being the lowest one yet. This time, she quite literally accuses her 13-year-old son of murdering Abraham. She states that Abraham was going to hurt her, so her son used deadly force to protect his mother.
She said, my son RJ shot Abraham twice. Abraham was trying to choke me. RJ walked in the room, grabbed my gun, and shot him. He was only protecting me like any son would do.
So not only are you a thief, not only are you a thief, a scammer, a pathological liar, someone who will commit murder or set up someone to be murdered. You are the lowest of the low because you literally threw your own son, your own biological teenage son, under the bus just to save yourself. You are the lowest of the lowest, ma'am. You are scum. Scum of the earth. This is insane. I can't believe that she just did that. I can't believe that she just did that.
After 3 days of digging, the body of Abraham Shakespeare was uncovered, buried below the concrete surface in Doris's backyard. He was found with 2 gunshot wounds to the chest. One of the investigators on the scene made a disturbing realization that the outfit that Abraham was wearing was the exact same outfit from the video that Doris had provided them from April 9th. The same video referenced earlier, where Abraham stated he needed to get away. The interviewing officers then upped their intensity another notch.
All right, Dee Dee.
Okay, I'm going to tell you everything from the start.
We'll sit here and listen to what you got to say. All right?
I'm so disturbed about this situation. I'm so disturbed because the time frame when all this happened, the crazy thing is, I was living in Florida at that time, and I did not hear about this. So it seems what she did was, and I hope they give her first-degree murder, because what she did was first-degree murder, right? Everything was premeditated. Those videos, that recording on April the 9th, she already knew that she was going to unalive him. That's why she did the recordings, having him say that he was going to go away, that he was leaving this to her, leaving the house and all the stuff like that. She made sure that he had everything signed over to her in the process. And the simple fact that you found this man buried under cement in one of the properties that she owns, she needs to go to the lowest form of hell, lady. Like literally the lowest level. That's where you need to be at. Okay, this is ridiculous.
But don't waste our time anymore.
I have no motive. I have no reason. I cared about that man.
It's very hard, not only for us, it'd be very hard for anybody to sit here and look at the things and go, okay, here's this lady who got the Corvettes, got the houses in her name, got the this, and then you're going, but Abraham knew about that, and Abraham wanted that was the business we were going to invest in, and blah, 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 you know, and what makes it really hard to believe is the lengths and the things that you did to cover up that he was, or to make it still look like he was alive, and then once it was looking like he wasn't alive,
well, I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain that part.
A lot of our questions have been answered now, and now it's time to lay everything out on the table and get to the bottom of it. I can tell you right now, look at my eyes. Look down. You may not have shot him, okay? But I'm telling you right now, you were involved. You are the one who did what happened. Look. You asked James, your ex-husband, to dig a freaking hole. James Moore did dig that thing, okay? I know he did, all right? James Moore knows he did. We know what happened.
You want me to tell you a lie. He is innocent in all of this, and so you're going to put an innocent man in jail.
But you are not. You are not.
You want me to admit that I
are not.
forcefully, I paid some crazy man to kill Abraham, and that is not true. I wouldn't pay for a man to get killed over money.
What is the truth? So you killed him yourself. You've got probably the top 2 sheriff's offices in the south end of Florida on this one case. Probably. It's not going to get by. It's not going to get by. It's just time. The book has been opened. The page is laid out. We know it all.
Look, I told you, you need to go and wait until they give you time of death and check that.
This isn't CSI, forensic files, and crap like that. It's time to start admitting what you did. Honestly. No more games.
An innocent person's going to go to jail.
Dee Dee, stop for a minute. We know Cedric's not involved.
He really worried me.
Are you serious? 5 minutes ago, if I hadn't have told you that we had the audio tapes, you were going to tell us it was Cedric. Dee Dee, tell us what happened then. Don't come up with fake names. You need to run this down.
I gave you the exact scenario of everything happened except for the names of people.
Well, then why not give the name?
Even now, with all the evidence that's leading towards her, she still is trying to make it seem that she is innocent. You told these detectives 6 different freaking stories. One minute you was pinning it on a guy that you hired. The next minute you pin it on this made up guy named Ronald. And then the last time you pinned it on your own son. Your own son. Everybody is guilty but you, right? Everybody else is guilty but you. Even your 13-year-old son, right? What a psycho.
Every time I gave the same exact story of exactly how it happened, except
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
No, they've been different versions.
Ronald, Cedric, this, that, blah, blah, blah.
Shit, you even named your own son at one point.
You have ruined that boy's life. He'll never be the same.
I know that. And I
never be the same because of you. You don't care. You don't care. You care about you.
No,
You're the only one that you care about. You're the most selfish woman I've ever seen in my life. I want the truth from you for the first time since November 10th.
I told you the truth. I don't know the guy. He came in and he...
No, you haven't.
With the evidence that was already obtained, and a series of changing stories, Doris was then charged with the first-degree premeditated murder of Abraham Shakespeare. During her court proceedings, it became relatively clear that Doris was not going to let up on any of her previous stories. Her mental disorders seemed to culminate with each and every court appearance, clarifying the assertion that she was in fact a pathological liar.
What a difference a day makes for Doris Moore. Yesterday and several days this week, Moore was in tears during her murder trial. But today, she was smiling and stayed on the judge's good side for a change. Our Allison Murrow's outside the Hillsborough County Courthouse with the latest on this up and down trial. Allison?
Yeah, it really is, Brendan. We do think that this mood swing is a result of more scolding from the judge yesterday for crying too much. Take a look at this video. She actually started the morning by giving her attorneys a thumbs up sign. She prayed for about 30 seconds and then just kept on smiling, as you said, even though testimony today really wasn't in her favor. An investigator with the state attorney's office told jurors that after Abraham Shakespeare, her alleged victim, met Moore, that his bank account took a quick nosedive from more than $1 million to zero. And Moore is accused of killing him, of course, for all of that money. But her attorneys argued that Shakespeare really had already spent most of his $13 million before he ever met their client.
He didn't have any trouble spending.
What the hell? What do that have to do with it? Yeah, okay, he had bad money management. A lot of people have bad money management. People who don't see that type of lump sum of money tend to spend recklessly. That does not excuse her for killing this man for his money and then lying and creating trying to get other people's lives taken away from them. She even tried to ruin her own 13-year-old son's life and pay him as a killer. And I think that the reason why she's doing all this in the courts, one minute she's crying hysterically, the next minute she's smiling and grinning, she's going to try to lead with that she is not in the right mental state, right? She's going to say, oh, I'm not in the right mental state. Send me to the psych ward. Send me to the psych part of the prison. I'm not in my mental state. This is what she's trying to give off. I don't think it's going to buy it, though. I don't think it's going to buy it because, number one, yes, she is a pathological liar, but pathological liar is not really, how can I put it? It's not really, what's the word? How would I use it? They don't categorize pathological liar when it comes down to psychology as a mental illness. There's people throughout the day who lies, right? Even a little white lie. If you told a little white lie, maybe like 3 or 4, or I don't know, maybe even 16 times in your life, right? That can be considered on the spectrum of being a pathological liar because you have lied more than once. So they don't really categorize that in the psych world as a mental illness. So she thinks she's going to get a mental illness by them saying, yeah, you're a pathological liar. But the whole purpose of her lying the way that she does is because she has conscience, not because she doesn't have a conscience. She knows what she's doing is wrong. She knows that she needs to remain innocent and to get out of harm's way. She knew that she had to lie on somebody else, right? That's all shows conscious. You know right from wrong. She's not showing any forms of her not knowing right from wrong. So it's not going to cut it. But let's go on. Let's see what they do with this lady in this case.
Money. We're going through large sums of money.
He spent a lot of money, yes. Now, whether he bought a car, property, all of this, loan money out.
Now, we do have a crew inside the courthouse right now when we know this is not over yet today. In fact, some of the most compelling material is happening right now. Jurors are watching video of detectives interrogating Moore, and they keep telling her that her story just doesn't add up and basically accusing her of lying about murder. So we'll have all of that for you at 11 o'clock tonight.
She's accused of killing a lottery winner after taking control of his wealth. And today, Dee Moore watched video of herself explaining exactly what happened to Abraham Shakespeare when he vanished in 2010.
Well, deputies suggested that Moore was a pathological liar and that every time they asked her where Shakespeare was, she would create an elaborate fairy tale to mislead investigators.
Dee Moore was treated in the jail infirmary after she complained about pain from her leg restraints.
I had an anaphylactic, sorry, my tongue. I had an anaphylactic shock.
Once cleared by a doctor, the trial continued with video of hours of questioning by Polk County investigators. Moore gave a wide variety of excuses why Abraham Shakespeare disappeared. One detective told the jury Moore even made a pass at him after the interrogation.
She actually came toward me and she said that I wasn't going to get angry, that I was going to have sex with her. She said she was very attracted to me and hoped once her name was clear that I would pursue a relationship with her.
But in the end, this disastrous web of lies that sadly ended the life of Abraham Shakespeare also ended the freedom of the insect that spun it. And Doris Moore, a.k.a. Dee Moore, was convicted for the murder of Abraham Shakespeare. And on December 10th, 2012, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Cold, calculated, cruel, they all apply. Manipulative, probably the most manipulative person that this court has seen. Abraham Shakespeare was your prey and your victim. Money was the root of the evil that you brought to Abraham.
And with that, he sentenced Moore to life in prison without parole.
To this day, Dee Moore still claims that she is completely innocent of the charges that she was convicted of.
Good for her. Put her under the jail cell, okay? That woman is evil. That woman saw him as a prey. You telling him that he needs to worry about everybody with their hands out. He needed to worry about you too, because you was also out there with your hands out. You preyed on this man. You preyed on the fact that he didn't know how to handle money. He didn't know how to manage it correctly. You preyed on the simple fact that when you win the lottery, a lot of people have random strangers or people from their past come out of nowhere and they start want to, rekindle the relationship because now they want some financial gain from it. And the simple fact that she tried to, she tried to make it seem like she's, crazy. Like I said, you being a pathological liar is not considered a mental health illness. And it also shows that you are conscience. You know right from wrong. So I'm glad that she got the time that she did. It was definitely premeditated. And it's like, how dare you, lady? How evil can you be? You really try to destroy your child's life to save yourself. That's how wicked you are. You know what I'm saying? It's prayers to that man, prayers to him, to his family, losing him like that. You know, because when they even told the story in the beginning about his life, this man struggled his whole entire life. And once he found a good luck charm, it got too much for him. It got too much for him, and he wanted to go back to how things were. But to be preyed on like that is just like it's terrible. And this happens to people every day. This happens to people every day. There is people out there literally just out there to prey on you, right? Literally, there's predators amongst us. Go look at my one of my live streams I did maybe a month ago about the predators that are amongst us and walks amongst us, right? And how to prepare yourself and to see them as best as possible when they're coming, because they come in the form of a friend, they come in the form of family, they come in the form of a relationship, they come in the form as a co-worker, they come in many different forms. So we have to be careful out there. We just have to be careful. All right, so I have one more for you guys, and I'm going to let you good folks go. Let's see. Paul said that she should have got the chair. Yeah, man, listen. Let's see. Puzzle says, what are you talking about? Just saying stupid things. Anyway, that's when I have to block you from the channel. All right, so let's go on. So this one is going to be very short. It's about a man losing his life from $7. Now, again, we all know that not everybody who loses their life are innocent people. People can be criminals themselves and they still lose their life, but they still have to, when a murder happens, they still have to be advocated for to get that type of element or bad element off the street. So where we're going to see is going to be interesting. We're going to see a 4-piece of 4 different interrogations that's happening very shortly, where you find out how this man lost his life for $7. So here we go.
I have been working on this for a while, this case. Talk to people that know you. Most important thing about this is to be honest about it.
Oh, no. I'll do the whole lying thing to cops.
Huh?
So I'll do that whole lying thing to cops.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
People usually get, I don't know why they would try and lie. I see TVs all the time. I was going to do forensic file stuff, but I thought it was going to be too hard for me.
This is 21-year-old Kelly Marshall being questioned at the Dallas Police Department. The detectives just discovered a 26-year-old man murdered in his home, and Kelly is one of 4 suspects that the police wanted to speak with. Over the course of this video's 19-minute running time, we will be presenting you with a short clip from each one of these interviews as we walk you through the case in chronological order. From the perspective of the Dallas Police Department, this story began on December 15th, 2007 at exactly 11:31 p.m. when dispatch received an alarming 911 call.
So, 911, can I get the cops in the ambulance? What's going on, man? I don't know. I think somebody's dead or something. He's not moving. Hurry.
The victim that this caller is reporting is 26-year-old Daniel Barone, aka Danny. His body had just been discovered lying in the main doorway of his house, surrounded in a pool of blood. Detective Scott Sayer from Dallas Homicide quickly arrived on the scene at the Oak Cliff residence located at the 2200 block of South Polk Street. Next to Daniel's body, investigators found 5 bullet casings along with a 9mm gun. After examining the body, it was confirmed that Danny was shot 5 times and that these shots were fired from within a foot away. Also, after speaking with the neighbors and discovering paraphernalia at the scene, detectives discovered that Danny was a well-known local drug dealer and had been selling narcotics directly out of his house. About 3 hours after the 911 call was placed, Danny's family notified the police that Danny actually had a business partner. His name was Joey Cruz, and they suspected that Joey was the last person to have been in with Danny just hours before the shooting. Joey was then contacted by the police and became the first person interviewed regarding Daniel's murder.
What I need is for you to help me kind of run down a timeline.
I get over to Danny's house like 3:45. We're just chilling, you know what I'm saying? Someone knocks on the door. You know what I'm saying? Danny goes answer. I'm like, who is it?
The man at the door was a lifelong friend of Joey's named Christopher Wade.
I've been knowing him since I was like 12 years old.
Danny doesn't know him for...
Danny never seen him before in his life. Don't know him for nothing. So, he comes in, he's chopping it up. He's like, y'all working? And he starts talking to Danny B about bowls, like pounds.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in the kitchen rolling blunt. They're sitting in there at that long table. So I was like, man, well, I'm fixing to roll out. It's like 8:30, 9-ish maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this is when Joey left to run some errands, and when he returned to the apartment, Danny was already dead, suggesting that Chris was the murderer.
I leave. You know what I'm saying? And I'm only gone for like an hour, hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to the house.
So my thing is, if the Danny didn't know Chris Wade, why was Chris Wade at the house already? Right? You know him, you knew him for way back. That's your boy. You never introduced him to Danny. So what was he doing at Danny's house? And then why did you leave him there, go run some errands or whatever, not come back, and now Danny's not alive anymore? So when you initially look at the story, it just looks like it was a hit gone wrong. It does look like maybe the business partner wanted to take over the whole entire business and get rid of the other partner, and he had his boy come over to do it. But there's so many more people that's in part of this case that we're going to look at and look at their interrogation. It gets quite interesting, guys. And shout out to Sal. What's going on? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, Empress, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you, ma'am. Good to see you. All right, let's go on. This is getting interesting.
I found them dead. I'm the one who found them. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Joey explained that he did not want to be tied to the situation, as he was worried that his participation in their drug business would be exposed. So, he asked his girlfriend to make the 911 call. Joey was allowed to leave the police station following his interview, as police were unable to link him directly to the murder. The man who Joey spoke of, named Chris Wade, had a colorful criminal history and had been arrested multiple times for drug and weapon charges since 2002. Investigators believed that Chris visited Danny and Joey's place of business with the intention of robbing them later that evening. They hypothesized that during the robbery, Chris shot Danny. So, detectives now moved on to speaking with their second suspect, Christopher Wade. Chris had an entirely different story. Chris told the detectives that he did see Joey that night, but he was actually outside the house while walking back from the store. He never went inside.
You're a person interested in the case because you know these guys. If you were just guessing, what do you think's the best possibility about what happened to him?
Yes, he got robbed. You know, they doing their thing, you know what I'm saying?
What made you want to go over there?
I had walked to the store and I had seen him outside.
After noticing Joey during his walk to the store, he yelled for his attention. The two then chatted outside for about 30 to 45 minutes.
Joey Cruz, that's you? Hey.
And hi, Al0. How you doing? Good to see you again. Thank you for stopping by again. I appreciate you. Hi, Hazel. You kind of missed most of it. This is the last case that I'm going over today, but thank you for stopping by, sis. I appreciate you. Yeah, nothing is going well for yeah. Chris gonna have to tell his side too, right? So this is very interesting because Chris saying, yeah, he saw the other guy go into Danny's house, but he was at the store. He ain't never go in. So he dabbed up the dude. Danny went to his house. He never went into the apartment. So why did the other guy say that he was in the apartment? And then it just keeps on going and going, guys. But we're gonna see it. Oh, hi. Thank you so much, Peter. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to everyone who's participated in the chat. You don't understand. I truly do appreciate it. Even if you don't agree with me, the commentary helps the show, okay? And just make sure y'all hitting that like button for me. It definitely helps the channel. Let's go on.
Hey, what's up, fool? I said, yeah, this ain't know this was your house.
That was last night?
Yeah, last night.
You think you're there for
I was there for a minute.
a couple hours or something? Or
Nah, not a couple hours.
half an hour?
Probably about 30, 45 minutes. I left his house by like 9 something. I got a booty call, so boom. I stretched out. You know? Yeah, I spent the night with her last night.
Okay. Whose house was that?
Didi.
Didi confirmed Chris's story that he went there around 9 p.m. and stayed there for the rest of the night. During the days following the shooting, detectives worked to corroborate both Chris and Joey's stories, but were hitting dead end after dead end. However, 16 days following Danny's murder, Dallas PD received a phone call from a woman named Ashley Rodriguez, who reported that a young woman by the name Callie Marshall confessed to the murder to her friend Jesse Mendoza. Detectives Penrod and Sayers visited Callie's home, and she agreed to voluntarily come to the police station for an interview. Since Callie did not have a babysitter, her children were brought to the station with her. As the officers began their third interrogation, Callie remained calm and was surprisingly chatty, openly sharing incriminating details of her role in the crime.
I have been working on this for a while, this case. Talk to people that know you. Most important thing about this is to be honest about it.
Oh
Be
no,
honest with us.
I'll do that whole lying thing to cops.
Huh?
So I'll do that whole lying thing to cops.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
People usually get, I don't know why they be trying to lie. I see the TVs all the time. I was going to do forensic file stuff, but I thought it was going to be too hard for me.
You know, actually, to tell you the truth, it's not really that hard. Callie, I want to get to it here. I'm going to tell you enough so there's no doubt in your mind that you know what I'm talking about, okay?
You want me to tell you?
She then explained to Detective Penrod that her boyfriend was currently in jail and that she needed to raise $1,500 to bail him out before Christmas. It got even more bizarre when she openly explained that her boyfriend's best friend Tyrone Omar Richardson had devised a plan to get that money. Apparently, the plan was for Tyrone and Callie to rob a house on Oak Cliff, a house which he believed contained substantial amounts of money and drugs.
What they say was in the house?
Said Major.
What's his name? Who's in charge of this?
Omar. He said he knew these people, though.
Okay.
He said he really knew.
So
Omar
your understanding is basically he's just going to go in there and he's going to take the guy's money. He'll take his gun with him. Basically going to rob him.
Yeah.
So what happened then?
He opens the door.
You did, Anthony?
And he shoots him.
Do you know what happened?
Just shoots him right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just shot at him when he opened the door. He kept on shooting.
What'd y'all end up getting out of it?
I didn't get nothing.
There wasn't any money?
He had $7.
As you just heard, Callie claimed that Omar started shooting as soon as Danny opened the door. When the shooting stopped, she saw Omar take a shoebox from a kitchen cabinet. The shoebox was supposed to be hiding the significant amount of money and drugs that Omar spoke of. Inside, it actually contained baggies, a small amount of cocaine, and $7. Callie was promptly arrested by Dallas PD.
Okay, so I don't know why she was that honest, but she literally just told her involvement. It is what it is. That helps out the detectives when you're that honest that you was a part of it. But my thing is, how do they know Danny? I want to know, how do she know Danny? Or is it she knows his business partner? Because when she just stated that Omar went into the house and he went into the cabinet to get a I guess like a sneaker box or something like that was supposed to be the money. How did he know to go to the cabinet and that supposedly the money would be there? Where do you get that type of information from, right? You have to get that type of information from somebody who's been inside his house and know where he be placing things at. So that goes right back to the business partner. So I'm thinking she plotted this whole thing because she wanted the money to get her man out. She said she was very honest about that. She probably said that she was going to give the business partner the rest of the money after she got the money to get her man out of jail and hit off her friend Omar. And Omar, he just went in and I guess he just decided to get rid of the witness, right? They didn't want him as a witness and they just ended up shooting him. So it was a robbery that went into murder. That's what I'm believing, because I didn't go through this case yet, but let's go on.
ED and was charged with the murder of Daniel Barone. It is highly uncommon for a suspect in a murder case to be so forthcoming with incriminating details about a crime.
Oh, wow,
Callie failed to invoke her Fifth Amendment right to counsel before engaging with law enforcement. Additionally, as a mother of 2 young children, it was strange that she showed no remorse or feelings at all when confessing to the acts. Regardless, Callie was now facing a first-degree murder charge, and detectives now had another person to speak with. Omar became suspect number 4 and was immediately brought down to the station for questioning. As it turns out, Omar Richardson also had a criminal history, with multiple arrests for burglaries and other misdemeanors.
There's one thing that we're interested in on these cases, and that's basically who's behind it, who caused it to happen.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I just want you to be honest with me about it on this thing. Can you do that, brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
Omar first told the police that on the night of the shooting, he was driving around town with friends when Joey Cruz called him and mentioned something about a potential robbery at Danny's house. He claimed to have learned about the shooting the following day.
I talked to Joey, and he said some guy was playing my mind. So I said, for real? Joey told me he felt it, you know what I mean? The next day, boom.
As Omar avoided eye contact with Detective Penrod, Penrod believed that this behavior was consistent with that of somebody being deceitful. So, being fully aware that Omar was withholding information, Penrod decided to highlight Omar's concern for Callie's safety. He goes on to suggest that Omar only acted in the defense of Callie, protecting her from Daniel. He does this with the hope of provoking some form of confession. This indirect accusation, combined with physical touch and empathetic demeanor, helped to develop some trust between Omar and Detective Penrod.
I told y'all that we keep on seeing signs of that tactic, right? Them acting concerning, them feeding onto your ego. Oh, you just made a mistake. You didn't mean to do it. You never meant any of this to happen. That is to have them open up and actually be like, yeah, I really didn't mean for this to happen, but I did it. It was never supposed to go this way. Those are all those tactics to get a confession out of a potential suspect, right? To make them believe that you're empathetic to them and what they're going on or how they're feeling. All of that is strategy. Moving in close, being very engaging into the conversation. You will be shocked to know how many people don't believe that a lot of people pays attention to them when they're speaking, right? Some people seek validation of people actually caring about what they have to say or what their thoughts are and their feelings are. And that could be a way to get through to people. So it is a strategy that detectives or police officers use. Let's go on.
Rod.
Omar, let's listen to it for just a minute, okay? I've been doing this for 17 years. I know what really happened. There's a set of events that were set in motion. There's somebody else on this thing.
Callie.
And you know what Callie's already told me? You guys got to the house. This is what's important. Tell me what happened. Show me what you got right here.
My heart.
That's right.
I don't want her to get killed, you know.
According to Omar, once they arrived at Danny's house, Callie got out of her Chevy Tahoe with a rifle. He was worried about Callie's safety and suspected that Danny might be armed, so he accompanied her to the front door with a handgun given by another man. Although this implied that there were more men in her vehicle, he admitted to being the only one who fired his gun at Danny.
You can do it. Let me have your hand. Come on.
Gotta have no choice.
What'd you do? It's all right, brother. Did you do this to protect Callie? What happened?
He just opened the door, man. The Callie was gonna run in, so I know he would get killed her.
Okay.
So I just started shooting. I didn't even know where I was shooting her.
All right, brother.
And then we flipped Daniel over and started checking his pockets. But Daniel wasn't there. I said, Daniel, I said, man. I said, I didn't mean for this to happen. You need to explain it away. I said,
all right, brother. I'll give you a few minutes, okay?
No, it's not illegal. Okay, so this is a good
Following
one.
Omar's confession, he was immediately
So this is a good one. Thank you so much, Peter Jacob. He said another thing is it's not illegal for them to lie to you during interrogation. No, it's not illegal. However, if you do have a good defense attorney, they will go on the stance of coercion, right? They will say that you coerce the suspect to say what you wanted them to say. You knew that they're in distress. You knew that that their life is on the line, and you kind of moved it in a way for them to say what you needed them to say to get some form of a confession, so you can bring it to a jury. That's the only problem. But only a good defense attorney will be able to know what will be considered coercion and not, and to use that. But no, it's not illegal for them to, I guess, fib per se, right? Because they could fib that they have more evidence than they actually really do, just to make you feel like, well, I already lost, they got everything already, and might as well just tell the truth now, even though they probably didn't have anything to begin with. So yes, they can use those type of tactics in interrogation, and it's not looked at as not be not fair or illegal per se. But thank you, Peter, I appreciate it. Let's go on.
arrested and charged for the murder of Daniel Barone. Arrest warrants were also issued for Omar's brother, Michael Lynn Richardson, and his friends Kennard Camp, Isaac Hernandez, and Jesse Vasquez, who were all between the ages of 17 and 20. Police say that they provided Omar with the murder weapon. In January of 2008, Callie, Omar, and the 4 other men were now in jail awaiting trial. Omar Richardson began his turn in court in March of 2009. Dallas County Senior Prosecutor Brandon Birmingham urged jurors to impose a capital murder conviction, which is a life sentence without parole. Prosecutors highlighted that Callie needed the money to bail out her boyfriend, who was in jail for assaulting her. So, with the help of Omar, the two conspired and then executed the plan to rob and kill Danny. The plan backfired when they only found $7. The murder weapon and police-recorded confessions were highlighted.
I'm sorry, I had to stop. Don't tell me this. You mean to tell me that your boyfriend is in jail for putting hands on you, and you going above and beyond by unaliving a man to get the same man who puts hands on you out of prison? This is what we doing? Woo, I guess, being toxic has no bounds, does it? Let's go on.
As evidence. 18-year-old Isaac Hernandez, one of the men who was alleged to have provided the murder weapon, agreed to testify against both Omar and Callie in exchange for a reduced sentence of 10 years.
Or how did it appear to you that Callie was instigating, or Omar was instigating, or who was instigating?
I want to say Callie was more instigating at the time than Omar was.
Why do you say that?
Because, she was, leading him on. Like, are you going to do it? Really
$7.
just leading him on.
Now, did she tell you, or did she say why she wanted the money?
I knew that her boyfriend was in jail at the time. She needed money to bond him out.
Isaac would go on to state that Callie was the primary instigator that pressured Omar to participate. For example, when the men first arrived at the house, they all had second thoughts about going ahead with the plan. But Callie persistently pushed them all to get it done. After finally agreeing to go through with it, Omar grabbed the handgun while Callie had an SKS rifle. Callie exited the car first, and Omar followed right behind. Once the gunfire stopped, Isaac said that he saw Omar and Callie ransacking the house.
$7.
Callie had got out the truck first.
Did she have anything in her hands?
Yes, sir. She had an SK.
How would you describe what an SK looks like?
Assault rifle, probably, I want to say about that big.
Tell the members of the jury what the mood was like in the car.
Callie said, what the hell, all we got, there's nothing but $7 in here. There's nothing but $7. It was a lot of yelling between Omar and Callie.
Although Isaac and the 3 other men were not in the house during the shooting, they admitted to being aware of the plan to rob and potentially shoot Danny that night. They were all promised a share of the loot in exchange for providing the defendants with the weapons used in the murder. In response to the testimonies, Omar's defense lawyer Ed King said it was really Callie who had coerced him into committing this horrific offense, and that although Omar shot Danny, he did not intend to kill him and may not have fired all 5 bullets. He also questioned the credibility of the co-defendants and a key witness with a criminal past. However, testimonies and Omar's videotaped confession did not support the idea of multiple shooters. Callie Marshall went to trial in July of 2009. Despite Callie's claims that she did not shoot Danny, the evidence pointed to her direct involvement in the crime. Her motive was clear. She was determined to bail out her boyfriend from jail. But the robbery only yielded $7. Defense attorney Pia Rodriguez presented Callie as a struggling single mother of two who was desperate to bail her boyfriend out of jail and explained that Callie was unaware of any plan to kill Danny. Rodriguez implied that Omar, rather than Callie, was the mastermind behind the robbery. Therefore, Callie was not involved in any conspiracy. In a direct response to these claims, the prosecution called an unexpected witness to the stand. This witness put Callie's character under the microscope.
She lying. She's the mastermind. If you really think about it, she's the one who has more motive outside of the business partner. She's the one who has more motive than anybody else. Omar wouldn't even have known about it if someone didn't call him to say, listen, we about to do a stick up. He wouldn't even known about the plan if the other person didn't call him and if you weren't involved. She was literally the mastermind out of the whole thing. You're the only one that everybody keeps on harping on that you wanted to get your boyfriend out. The same one who oops upside your head is the same one you trying to get out of prison. Like, I don't think that's going to fly. And it seems like they have a character witness for this lady, which will be the police officer. And we're going to hear what he has to say about it. Because I believe that she was the one who put everything in motion. Let's go.
Microscope. Officer Patrick from the Dallas Police Department recounted how on December 25th, 2007, just 10 days after Danny's tragic death, the police were alerted to a report of 3 suspects in a Chevy Tahoe trying to break into vehicles in a mall parking lot.
And back on December the 25th, which was Christmas Day, so 24th leading to 25th, were you on duty and working?
Yes, sir. And we were headed up in that area and we found a Tahoe sitting on the side of the road at 2 o'clock.
And what statements did they make to you?
They both stated they were looking in the cars. They hadn't got any yet. There was a small child in the car and then another female juvenile that was also in the car.
Officer Patrick's statement highlighted Callie's careless nature and only helped the prosecution portray her as the instigator rather than a victim caught up in a bad situation. On April 3rd, 2009, 22-year-old Jerome Omar Richardson was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years, along with a $10,000 fine to the victim's estate. On June 11th, 2009, a jury convicted 21-year-old Callie Marshall of felony murder as a conspirator and sentenced her to 60 years in prison. Following her sentencing, Callie's defense team filed an appeal, with their main focus being to suppress the evidence used in trial, specifically her videotaped confession. They claimed that, aside from the testimonies of Hernandez and Vasquez, there was no evidence linking her to the crime scene. Additionally, they asserted that her statement to Detective Penrod during the interview was the result of an illegal arrest and should be rendered unreliable. The court noted that the videotapes showed Detective Penrod reading Callie her rights before questioning, and Callie twice indicated her willingness to proceed with the interview. Callie then described her version of the crime in detail, and at no time did she request a lawyer or ask to stop the interview. The court concluded that Callie did not reasonably believe that she was in custody during the interview, so the statement was admitted as voluntary. The court ruled that the analysis of the evidence presented during her trial, specifically the murder weapon and DNA evidence obtained from her vehicle, was sufficient for the jury to have made an informed decision, and her appeal was dismissed. Jesse Vasquez, Kennard Camp, and Michael Lynn Richardson reached plea deals and received a maximum of 15 years in prison, while Isaac was granted his reduced sentence of 10 years. Callie Marshall is currently residing at the William Hobby State Prison in Marlin, Texas. Jerome Omar Richardson is serving his life sentence at the Iowa Park Prison in Wichita County, Texas. He will be eligible for parole in the year 2039.
Just look how crazy it is. Like everybody in this case was a whole bunch of young folks, and they lost their lives. Their lives is gone. Like it's I understand why they gave Omar what he did, but however, they do see that he was remorseful, and that's why he was able to get parole after serving 30 years of his term, right? They gave her 60 years because, like I said, she, number one, she willingly came in telling everything about her involvement, acting like she didn't have nothing to do with it, and that she wasn't going to be pinned for that murder, and that's why she was so open to speak about it, right? And then on top of that, she put everybody else involved. Everybody else was involved. The 4 guys who got the gun for Omar, she knew them. The other guy, Hernandez, he's the one who called Omar to let them know about this robbery plan because of his affiliation with her. She was literally the instigator of the whole thing because she wanted the money for her guy. And now look, all these lies, all these lives are gone. All these young folks, though, those 4 guys were all from the ages of 17 to 21. Omar is 22. She's 21 herself with 2 kids. Gone. For what? And another young man, Danny, right? Because we can't forget about the victim. He lost his life over $7. $7. Nobody got paid, nobody got nothing, but a life was lost, and all of y'all destroyed your lives for $7. I hope that y'all are kicking yourself in the head, y'all are banging your head against the jail cell about, this is what I threw away my life for, $7 measly dollars. I bet you they all had $7 in their pocket. I bet you every single one of them had money to go on a McDonald's line and get something off the dollar menu. Like, shoot, like, the fact that this man lost his life in McDonald's food costs more than what he lost his life for. Like, you can't even go get McDonald's without spending $20 or $25 now. And his life was taking over something lower than McDonald's fast food. Just think about this, guys. Just think about it. It's disgusting. I'm glad that they found out everything, and you seen how all of them started to tell on themselves. Hernandez did the right thing. At this point, he was like, listen, I'm gonna tell you everything that's happening. You're gonna drop that sentence. And he was the only one that was willing to do it. And he was able to get 10 years. He got less years than everybody else. But it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that all these young kids and these young people are losing their lives for foolishness. Complete foolishness. Get a job, go to school, do what you got to do, but stop all this nonsense. This is unnecessary for no reason. Especially you end up the consequences don't outweigh the rewards. I never understood that. To me, the consequences that these people who are involved in things like this do not outweigh the rewards that you think you're getting. Because most of the time, the money or stuff that you're getting, y'all gonna run through it anyway. You're going to run through it anyway. You're going to use that money to go try to buy more things, invest to keep it going. It's not worth it. It really isn't. It really isn't. Well, that's all I have for you today, guys. These 3 cases. And I just want to say shout out to all of y'all who was able to rock out with me for this long on this Monday evening. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the chat. You don't understand. I truly appreciate it. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or not. I enjoy commentary. And as long as we keep it cute, respectful in the chat, then it's all game over here, right? And just make sure that you please hit the like button on your way out. It really does help the channel. It keeps me in the algorithm. I will be coming back on Wednesday. So I'm not going to go live tomorrow. I will be coming back on Wednesday, but I do have a very, 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 very special Wednesday live stream for you guys, because not only will I be doing our regular crime and psychology, I will also be with my co-host Sharon Bracey, starting our first episodes on reactions and reviews and for our show, and y'all are going to be the first ones to witness it this Wednesday. So look out for that. But I really, truly, truly, truly appreciate you all. And I don't even know if my coworker is here. It's Sharon Bracey. Are you here, co-host? Are you still here? Or are you gone? But look out for it Wednesday. You're going to have a special thing. It's going to be a long live stream. You're going to have our regular crime and psychology, and you're going to get a taste of our new reaction and reviews channel. Okay? Check it out. So thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all as always, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.